Chapter 696. When Jiang Tian, Wu Buxiong, and Wu Zhiruo returned to Wu Buxiong's apartment in Kowloon Nathan Road, it was already dark. Wu Zhiruo was very satisfied with her apartment. There were commercial buildings and apartments on both sides of the street, and tourists were everywhere. There were all kinds of neon signs, and luxury shops were everywhere. It was a shopping mecca. But Jiang Tian shook his head in his heart. 1,000-feet mansion was only around 90 square meters. If it was in China, it would be an ordinary apartment. The key was that this place was too noisy and filled with the aura of the secular world. He would rather live in a cave than live in a place like this. But Jiang Tian was relieved that there was no demonic aura around. At least Wu Buxiong was safe. Jiang Tian, thank you so much. Make yourself at home. I will go and prepare a few dishes. Let's have a drink later. Wu Buxiong had just recovered from his illness, and he was in a good mood. He invited Jiang Tian into the living room and started cooking in the kitchen. When Wu Zhiruo reached home, she hid in the study room and said that she was working overtime. She did not want to talk to Jiang Tian. Jiang Tian was helping Wu Buxiong in the kitchen. At the same time, he wanted to know more about the Wu family. Old Master Wu had passed away more than a year ago, and Wu Buxiong was now the head of the Wu family. The Wu family had been in the real estate business all these years. Their biggest client was Hong Kong's Superman Lee's Yellow River Real Estate. Now, Yellow River Real Estate had a change of management. The Wu family's connections had been purged, and it was not easy to get the business. Furthermore, after Wu Zhiruo took over the company, she was not as proficient in the market as Wu Buxiong. Now, the Wu family's business was in trouble, and their assets had shrunk. They only have less than 100 million renminbi. Yellow River Real Estate changing management? That's just an excuse. Suddenly, a woman in her 40s walked out from the bedroom and sneered. Who doesn't know that Superman Lee from Hong Kong is very close to Song Beishan from the Song family in Beijing? Jiang Tian had offended the Song family, and the Song family knows that we had helped them in the past. That's why they asked Superman Lee to stop us. This woman's makeup was also very exquisite, and she was dressed fashionably. She was bedecked with jewelry and wore branded clothes. However, her cheekbones were very high, her lips were big and thin, and her gaze was sharp. She gave people a feeling that she was mean, merciless, and worldly. Aunt Chu Chu. Jiang Tian recognized this person. She was Wu Buxiong's younger sister, Wu Chu Chu, who was also Wu Zhiruo's aunt. In his previous life, Wu Chu Chu had looked down on Jiang Tian. She strongly opposed the marriage between Wu Zhiruo and Jiang Tian, and attacked Jiang Tian in every possible way. In her opinion, those who could match Wu Zhiruo must be the sons of the 4 richest families in Hong Kong. How could a mainlander like Jiang Tian be qualified? In his previous life, the year 2011 was around the same time. Under the pressure of the 3 most influential families in Jin City, Jiang Tian and Medicine King Group were having a hard time. Jiang Tian had gone to Hong Kong to seek financing to solve their financial problems. However, Wu Chu Chu and a group of Hong Kong tycoons mocked and ridiculed him. Jiang Tian could only smile and endure the humiliation. But in this life, Jiang Tian was extremely wealthy, and his friends were the Prime Minister of Singapore, the leaders of the Californian conglomerates, and the President of the European Union. He did not care about these tycoons in Hong Kong. Chu Chu, don't say anything. What are you talking about? Wu Buxiong glared at his sister and then looked at Jiang Tian apologetically. Jiang Tian, please don't take it to heart. Wu Chu Chu was not going to let it go. She looked at Jiang Tian angrily and said, if it weren't for him, the Wu family would not have fallen to this state. Chu Chu, if you continue to be so rude, get out of my house. Wu Buxiong shouted angrily. Wu Chu Chu had always wanted to curry favor with the rich and powerful. For so many years, she had been looking at the mountains from one mountain to another, and she had changed boyfriends again and again. In the end, she was still unmarried at the age of 40. Now, she was living in Wu Buxiong's house every day. Now, under Wu Chu Chu's influence, his daughter had developed a similar personality. She was calculative, heartless, and materialistic. Of course, his daughter had received higher education and knew business etiquette, so she would not be so straightforward. Not to mention, just based on the fact that Jiang Tian had saved her life, Wu Chuchu had no reason or right to be rude to Jiang Tian. Brother, you are so unrepentant. Hanging out with this kind of person will get you killed sooner or later. Wu Chuchu was so angry that her face turned red. She flung her sleeves and went into the study. Ignore her. Wu Buxiong smiled at Jiang Tian and said, she hasn't had a boyfriend for too long. Her hormones are out of whack. I'm so annoyed with her. It's okay. Although Wu Buxiong said so, Jiang Tian felt that Wu Chuchu was telling the truth. Superman Li's family in Hong Kong might have received orders from the Song family to not do business with the Wu family as a favor. After all, Superman Li's family in China was under the protection of the Song family. Thinking up to here, Jiang Tian could not help but feel somewhat moved. Wu Buxiong had sacrificed a lot for the Jiang family. After a while, the dishes were ready. The four of them sat around the dining table, chatting as they ate. Wu Buxiong and Wu Buxiong drank a few glasses of wine. Jiang Tian thought for a while and smiled. Uncle Wu, don't worry. I will help the Wu family rebuild. Sister Zhou, if you are willing, I can introduce you to Superman Li. A few $100 million worth of business is nothing to me. At the mountain behind Wu Dang, Superman Li wanted to be Jiang Tian's disciple to seek protection. If Jiang Tian wanted to help the Wu family, it would only take him a few words. Jiang Tian, how do you know? Wu Buxiong was shocked. Superman Li had a high status, and even Wu Buxiong had not met him personally. It was because old Master Wu and Superman Li were of the same generation that the Wu family got the Yellow River property deal. But before Wu Buxiong could finish his sentence, Jiang Tian, are you kidding me? Wu Chuchu screamed exaggeratedly, you know Superman Li? You are too good at bragging. Who is Superman Li? He is the richest man in Hong Kong and a real estate tycoon. When he goes to China, the leaders of the country will welcome him personally. Wu Chuchu sneered, who do you think you are, Jiang Tian? My father is just a government official. Even your father is not qualified to talk to Superman Li, let alone you. And your family's Medicine King Group. It used to be powerful and did well, but didn't it suddenly withdraw from the market in the end? It must have been destroyed by the Song family. This is all your fault. You have harmed the Jiang family, and now you want to harm the Wu family? Go away. My family does not welcome scammers. Wu Chuchu had crossed the line. But Wu Zhihua felt what Wu Chuchu said made sense. Jiang Tian, this kind of vain, pompous, and evil guy, should be slapped in the face like this. Now, Medicine King Group had been delisted, and the Jiang family had moved overseas. The Jiang family is on the verge of collapse. Why did Jiang Tian visit the Wu family at this time? He must be here to seek help from the Wu family and get some benefits. If you, Jiang Tian, were to be honest, then it would be fine. I, Wu Zhihua, might be kind enough to help you and give you a few melons or 2 dates. But you have been lying and bragging all the way here. That's not good. Why are you pretending? You even introduced me to Superman Li. Can't you be more humble? I am not stupid. I am a new business elite, and I have my own judgment. Will I fall for your tricks? Chuchu, what you said is too much. If you continue to do this, get out. Jiang Tian is my guest. This time, Wu Buxiong was really angry. He slammed his chopsticks on the table and shouted at the door. I'm too much? Wu Chuchu was so angry that she laughed. She stood up and pointed at Jiang Tian with disdain. Who does he think he is? How dare a toad try to eat swan meat? He chased after Zhihua. At that time, many rich young masters in Hong Kong were chasing after Zhihua. The Xiang family's Qian Xiang. The Tang family's young master Tang. Which one of them is not a business elite? Which one of them is not a young master from a wealthy family? Which one of them is not a business genius? What about you, Wu Buxiong? You looked down on them and even announced that Zhihua and Jiang Tian are going to get married. What happened in the end? The more she talked, the more agitated she became. Her words were like swords, and every word she said was sarcastic. In her eyes, Jiang Tian was just an ant that she could step on. So what if he was angry? So what if she stepped on him? Now you have seen what happened to the Jiang family. Who does Jiang Tun think he is? He offended a powerful family in Yanjin and ruined the Jiang family. Our Wu family was also implicated. We sold the villa at Repulse Bay and lived in this small house. How can a disaster like him compare to those rich young masters in Hong Kong? You are a fool. It was you who tried to matchmake Jiang Tian and Wu Zhu. Those rich young masters in Hong Kong looked down on Zhirua because of that. Zhirua is still unmarried. You have ruined Zhirua's life. Wu Chuchu, just because he cured my illness, he is my benefactor. Based on the fact that Uncle Changing once cured father, the Jiang family is our Wu family's benefactor. How can you be so ungrateful? A drop of water should be repaid with a gushing spring. How can you be so rude to Jiang Tian? Wu Buxiong was so angry that he was trembling. He pointed at the door and shouted, "Get out! Don't be a freeloader in my house." Benefactor? Wu Chuchu sneered and said disdainfully, "I've heard about what happened in the afternoon. He offended Master Zhou and dared to be disrespectful to Su Ma Zhai. He will get you killed. Just you wait." As she spoke, she picked up her bag and hurried out. "Jiang Tian, I'll let you be arrogant, I'll let you overestimate yourself. I'll wait to collect your corpse." Chapter 697. After she left, Wu Buxiong was so angry that he sat down on the chair. He couldn't calm down for a long time. "Jiang Tun, I'm sorry." After a while, Wu Buxiong stood up and bowed to Jiang Tian solemnly. "My sister has been neglected since she was young. That's why she's so arrogant. Uncle apologizes to you." "It's okay, Uncle Wu. I don't care." Jiang Tian hurriedly stood up and supported him with his hands, smiling faintly. On the other hand, Wu Zhirua glanced at Jiang Tian with disdain, and a wisp of cold ridicule appeared on the corners of her mouth. "You don't care? So what if you care? Give my aunt a good beating? Do you dare? After all, you're here to ask for help. How dare you beat up the god of fortune? You're an idiot, but you're not that stupid." In fact, Jiang Tian really didn't care. He was only here to repay the Wu family's kindness. After that, he would leave. As for being rejected by Wu Zhirua in his previous life, he didn't care anymore. It was like a fleeting dream. He couldn't be bothered to explain Wu Chuchu's misunderstanding, because he didn't need Wu Chuchu and Wu Zhirua's approval. They were two unrelated people. "Jiang Tian, stay at home. Don't go to the hotel." After dinner, when Jiang Tian stood up to leave, Wu Buxiong sincerely asked him to stay. "We haven't talked enough yet. You should talk to Sister Zhirua tonight. Just treat her as an elder sister and talk to her." "I don't have time to talk to him. I have to work overtime. I have to talk to the people from Yellow River Real Estate tomorrow." Wu Zhirua was shocked. "Talk to Jiang Tian? Don't scare me. He's full of bullshit. I can't even answer him. It's too awkward." "Forget it, Uncle Wu. I'll stay at the Peninsula Hotel tonight. A few friends are waiting for me." In fact, even without Wu Zhirua's objection, Jiang Tian wouldn't stay there. Zhen Shuai, Qing Yi, and Jiang Tian had made several calls to urge Jiang Tian. It was rare for him to get together with his brothers, so Jiang Tian didn't want to waste time on Wu Zhirua. "That's too bad. Jiang Tian, you go and find your friends first, but you must come and stay at our house for a few days." Wu Buxiong helplessly stood up to send him off. He walked Jiang Tian all the way to the door. She then glared at Wu Zhirua behind her and said, "Zhirua, why aren't you sending Jiang Tian off?" Wu Zhirua had no choice but to send Jiang Tian downstairs. "Jiang Tian, thank you for saving my dad today. If you have any difficulties, just tell me. After all, our families have been friends for generations." Although she despised Jiang Tian, Wu Zhirua still maintained her etiquette on the surface. However, he could also feel that she was deliberately keeping a distance from him. "I'm fine." Jiang Tian shook his head with a faint smile. "If you want money, just say it. Why are you still so stubborn?" Wu Zhirua snorted coldly in her heart and couldn't help but say, "Be careful these few days. You offended Master Zhou, so he will definitely take care of you. Also, it's better to keep your violent and domineering personality in check. Hong Kong is full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. It's not comparable to the mainland. It's okay. Those are just ants. Jiang Tian shook his head indifferently. Wu Zhihua was so angry that her face turned red. At this moment, a Mercedes-Benz off-road car parked by the side of the road suddenly opened its door. Master Zhou and a beautiful nun got out of the car and walked over quickly, surrounded by 7 or 8 strong men. From afar, Master Zhou pointed at Jiang Tian and shouted, "Little witch, this is the person who hit me." He even scolded Master Su Mojai. "Quickly take care of him." Jiang Tian, did you see that? This is what you get for stirring up trouble everywhere you go. Zhou Zhihua snorted. She was very pleased. This is Su Mojai's granddaughter, Little Witch Su Zixuan. She is very famous in Hong Kong. You will be played to death by her. In Hong Kong, Su Mojai's family was even more powerful than Superman Li and Xiao Shikuan's family. Su Mojai was proficient in Dharma spells, physiognomy, feng shui, divination, and so on. He had been in Hong Kong for decades and had been challenged by countless foreign sorcerers, tame headmasters, and Taoist priests. But he was still famous and was known as the guardian of Hong Kong. Now, Su Mojai lived in seclusion deep in the mountains of the outlying islands, where wind and water gathered. Basically, only the top tycoons in Hong Kong could invite him to work for them. Usually his granddaughter, Little Witch Su Zixuan, took care of the daily affairs. Little Witch Su Mojai did not disappoint. She was only 17 or 18 years old, but she had already made a name for herself. Not only in Hong Kong, but also in Taiwan, Macau, and Southeast Asia. Because of her height, long legs, and beautiful appearance, she was a frequent guest of the upper class. Many rich young masters were chasing after her, and she was known as the top socialite in Hong Kong. She will definitely kowtow to me when she sees me, Jiang Tian smiled faintly. Even at death's door, you're still being stubborn, still pretending, and still boasting. Wu Zhihua could not believe it. She gritted her teeth and walked away. She hated Jiang Tian so much that she did not want to stay a minute longer. I was going to put in a few good words for you, but since you want to die, then go to hell. I don't care about you anymore. Jiang, Master Kong. Little Witch Su Zixuan did not expect to see her idol here. She was stunned for a moment. She turned around and slapped Master Zhou in the face. She shouted, "Get lost! How dare you disrespect Master Kong? Little witch, why did you hit me?" Master Zhou was suddenly stunned and covered his face in astonishment. "This is Master Kong. Tell me, should I hit you or not?" Su Zixuan slapped him again. She was so angry that she felt like her lungs were about to explode. "You dare to be disrespectful to my idol? See if I don't beat you to death, you pig-head." Jiang, Master Kong, forgive me for not recognizing you. In fact, you are my idol. Master Zhou was stunned for a moment. Suddenly, he realized something. He was so scared that his face turned pale. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead. He was about to kneel down in front of Jiang Tian. "You still want to get close to Master Kong? Do you think you are worthy? Break your legs and kick you out of Hong Kong. Don't let me see you in Hong Kong again." Su Zixuan waved her hand angrily. "Master Zhou, I'm sorry." 7 or 8 strong men rushed up and carried Master Zhou into the alley. They broke his legs and beat him until he screamed in pain. "Master Kong, I didn't expect to see you in Hong Kong." Su Zixuan blinked her big watery eyes and looked at Jiang Tiandao with admiration and adoration. "Master Kong, where do you want to go? I'll treat you. Hong Kong is my territory. What's so fun about you? Don't covet me." Jiang Tian glared at her and warned her sternly. "I'm not coveting your beauty." Su Zixuan was shocked and quickly waved her hand. Wow, Grandmaster Jiang's magic power was indeed deep, and he could read minds. "Don't tell me you know that I took your photo and did those shameful things to you? Oh my God, it's so embarrassing." Jiang Tian smiled and said, "But I'll give you a chance. Send me to the Glory World Club." But Su Zixuan was sad and resentful. "I'm all grown up now. I'm already 1.9 meters tall. But you didn't even look at me. Instead, you went to the brothel. How could you do this? Master Kong, you have fallen. In the sightseeing elevator, Wu Zhihua saw Su Zixuan hugging Jiang Tian's arm and getting into the Mercedes-Benz together. It can't be? Their posture is so intimate. Does he really know Su Zixuan? Wu Zhihua was shocked and rubbed her eyes. She was just mocking Jiang Tian for being reckless. But now, it seemed that Su Zixuan was very respectful to Jiang Tian. She even opened the car door for Jiang Tian. At that moment, Wu Zhihua felt that she was an idiot. Her face was swollen. No, he should be controlled and kidnapped by Su Zixuan. But the next moment, Wu Zhihua shook her head. Jiang Tian was just a small fry from China. How could he know Su Zixuan? Back at home, Wu Zhihua didn't tell her dad that Jiang Tian was kidnapped. She only looked at her dad and said angrily, "Dad, why do you value Jiang Tian so much? Jiang Tian is definitely not an ordinary person." Wu Buxiong pondered for a moment and said solemnly, "I advise you to control your temper. Put away your contempt and disdain. Treat him with respect and build a good relationship with him. If you continue to be like this, I'll give you a piece of advice. You will definitely regret it." There were many bad rumors about the Jiang family. They said that the Jiang family was on the verge of collapse under the suppression of the Liu and Song families. They said that the Medicine King group was delisted and that they had run overseas to avoid the limelight. But Wu Buxiong didn't think so, because he realized that Jiang Tian was too calm in the face of Wu Chuchu's mockery. He didn't have any emotional fluctuations at all. Jiang Tian's calm and collected manner made him secretly shocked in his heart. How magnanimous, how strong of a heart and confidence was that? If it were an ordinary person, they would definitely try to defend themselves. They might even argue with Wu Chuchu without any grace. Jiang Tian was calm and happy. It could be said that he didn't get angry for no reason, and he wasn't shocked when faced with a sudden situation. Wu Buxiong had only seen this kind of magnanimity on top bosses like Xiao Shikuan. "I regret." Wu Zhihua smiled but didn't say anything. Her eyes were full of mockery. How could it be? Wu Zhihua had seen all kinds of young talents. Not to mention top young masters like Xiao Yunhao and Li Zhikai, even Luo Ziho, who was pursuing her, was much better than Jiang Tian. Daddy was too pedantic. What was there to care about old feelings? What was there to repay a drop of water with a gushing spring? What was there to look at the future? She, Wu Zhihua, lived in the present. She only married into a rich family and only made friends with rich young masters. As for Jiang Tian, this kind of impoverished family, please die as far as you can think. I don't care what you think. In short, in the next few days, you have to accompany Jiang Tian. How could Wu Buxiong not know his daughter's personality? So, he also gave a strict order. Remember my advice today. Don't underestimate Jiang Tian. Don't look down on him. His ability is not something you and I can imagine. It's so depressing. Wu Zhihua had a headache. She still had to meet the executives of Huanghe Real Estate tomorrow. What was the point of bringing Jiang Tian along? It would definitely embarrass her. Chapter 698. Little Witch, I think there have been some strange deaths in Hong Kong recently. In the Mercedes-Benz, Jiang Tian looked at Su Zixuan and said lightly, "You and your grandpa investigate and give me a summary. I will check it out when I have time. Don't worry, Master Kong, I will complete the mission." Su Zixuan saluted Jiang Tian like a loyal guard. "Don't be so nervous," Jiang Tian shook his head. "By the way, Master Kong, Superman Li He Hongchen, and Wan Chili have visited my grandpa many times after you destroyed the Wu Dang Mountain. Can you give them a chance?" Su Zixuan asked boldly. "It depends on the time. I will give you a call when it's convenient." Jiang Tian said lightly. "Then I will turn on the phone for you 24 hours a day." Su Zixuan said expectantly. A while later, Jiang Tian arrived at Xingshi Wang Mansion and met up with Zhen Shuai, Qing Yi, Tan Guangshu, Jiang Chao, and the other young men. When Jiang Tian went to visit Wu Buxiong in the afternoon, Zhen Shuai had already received his Hong Kong ID and passport. To thank his friends in Hong Kong, Zhen Shuai hosted a banquet for them, mainly people from the Xinhua News Agency and the China Joint Office. When Jiang Tian arrived, the banquet reached a climax. If someone asked him which Hong Kong celebrity he wanted to have as his companion, he could invite anyone. Zhen Shuai's net worth was in the hundreds of millions. Although he was not considered rich among the top tycoons in Hong Kong, he was still a rich man for those small celebrities. What's the point of being a celebrity? It's a waste of our time. Zhen Shuai rejected the offer. Although Zhen Shuai looked careless, he was not stupid. He knew that Jiang Tian's help was indispensable for everything he had obtained. He noticed that Jiang Tian's temperament had changed. He did not like these kinds of things, so he did not dare to mess around. Someone whispered, "You can invite any female celebrity you like to spend the night with. They are all clearly priced. Show me the menu." Seeing that Jiang Tian was leisurely sipping his tea and not paying attention to him, Zhen Shuai was tempted and asked in a low voice, "Do you have any from Taiwan?" The pimp nodded and went out to make a call. When he came back, he said, "Young Master Zhen, the Taiwanese actress that you want is in Hong Kong. If she says it's you, she can give you a 20% discount." Zhen Shuai was dumbfounded and asked curiously, "I haven't even said her name, and you already know who I'm going to pick. Do you have mind-reading skills?" The pimp smiled embarrassedly and said, "The rich merchants and high officials from the mainland will usually order her." "What price?" Zhen Shuai asked. Broker leaned close to his ear and spat out a number. Zhen Shuai placed the cup filled with XO on the table and said with disdain, "Isn't the price a little too high? My money doesn't grow on trees. Is it gold?" "Inlaid with gold." "It's clearly inlaid with diamonds." Jiang Chao burst out laughing. Broker was probably used to seeing customers from the mainland like Zhen Shuai, so it wasn't strange for him to see customers more boorish than Zhen Shuai. He smiled and said patiently, "Young Master Zhen, imagine the feeling of carrying a goddess that no one dares to profane on your shoulders. Wouldn't you feel that it's worth it?" Zhen Shuai turned his head abruptly and stared at Broker for a few seconds with his hazy, drunken eyes. He slapped his thigh and laughed. "You're really a genius. Just because of what you said, I don't want the discount. Original price. Young Master Zhen, please." Broker raised his glass full of expensive red wine, his face full of respect and reverence. Zhen Shuai raised the wine cup and drank it in one gulp. He called the finance director and said generously, "Transfer money to an account. Do you want to give this big boss one too?" Broker saw that Zhen Shuai and the others were very respectful towards Jiang Tian. That tall man called Cheng Yi, who looked like a high-ranking bodyguard, didn't even leave Zhen Shuai's side. He guessed that Jiang Tian should be Zhen Shuai's big brother, so he suggested, "Don't you? My brother doesn't like women. Don't dirty his eyes with those female stars." Zhen Shuai was so scared that his whole body trembled. He warned sternly, "Then this big boss likes men? I can find that too." Broker misunderstood. "Do you think it's your turn to introduce if he likes men? I'm going to do it myself." Zhen Shuai slapped the back of Broker's head and scolded jokingly, "That's enough. If you dare to talk nonsense again, I'll be killed by God Jiang." Broker couldn't believe it. A rich man who doesn't play with women can still be called a rich man. This was too unbelievable. In fact, how could Zhen Shuai's little tricks on the plane escape Jiang Tian's eyes? Jiang Tian sipped his tea and said calmly, "Cheng Yi, how has Zhen Shuai been these 2 years?" "Soaking in wine and meat every day, drinking 3 times a day, surrounded by groups of people who drink and chat with him, play with sports cars, cigars and whiskey. He's Richard Mill's super VIP. When Patek Philippe releases a new product, they'll call him first and send him to try it on. There's a room at home that's specially used to store branded watches. When the watch is turned, the whole wall will turn. He's already bought 7 or 8 sports cars. He's still researching commercial jets and wants to buy one. He doesn't lack women either. He changes them one after another. There are starlets, models, female university students, female secretaries, female executives, female venture capitalists, and all sorts of things. They come and go as they please." Cheng Yi shook his head and sighed. In the end, he said a little worriedly, "Jiangtan, talk to him when you have the time. He's so arrogant. I reckon he can only listen to you now." "Forget it." Jiang Tian shook his head. "It's just a way of life. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, as long as he's happy. He's young and frivolous. When he explodes, it's normal for him to indulge in women. Cheng Yi nodded. Keep a close eye on him. Don't let anyone set a trap for him. Also, don't touch drugs. Jiang Tian said worriedly. Jiang Tian knew that Jinling was a place where crooks mixed with honest folk. There had never been a shortage of rich people. There were both men and women who had already formed gangs and were good at all kinds of schemes. There were women who pretended to be decent and seduced simple-minded IT upstarts. After getting married, they quickly divorced to split half of the family assets. There were women who placed their lovers by their husband's side as assistants. Their positions were occupied, and they worked together to empty the company's assets before running away. Or they used pregnancy as an excuse to blackmail for huge compensation. Some even set up traps to lure people to gamble, take drugs, and so on. You don't have to worry about that, Cheng Yi hurriedly said. Zhen Shuai's father used to be an old policeman. He's very clear-headed. Now that he's retired, he's helping him keep an eye on his company. Also, Su Zhenlei is covering for him. Jiang Tian nodded slightly. He wasn't used to such noisy occasions. He returned to the hotel to rest first and let them continue playing. The next morning, Jiang Tian was meditating. Jiang Chao knocked on the door and took Jiang Tian and the others out to relax. After a while, the brothers gathered together. Jiang Chao suggested, "The food in the Peninsula Hotel isn't good. Let's go to the food stall next to the Bauhinia Plaza. The deep well roast goose there is not bad." Since they were here to play, of course, they wanted to eat some local specialties. No one had any objections. Jiang Tian wasn't interested in Hong Kong. When he was in Linzhou, he often came to Hong Kong and played there many times. However, Zhen Shuai, Cheng Yi, Tan Guangxiu, and the others didn't want to stay in the hotel. After all, they had to organize some activities. Hong Kong was a very crowded city. Every inch of land was worth an inch of gold. The streets were narrow and the so-called Bauhinia Plaza was only the size of a palm. At the Yongji porridge stall next to the plaza, Jiang Chao ordered a table of food in one go. Everyone ate and chatted. At this time, Jiang Tian's phone rang. It was Wu Zhi. Wu Zhihua seemed to have forgotten about yesterday's unhappiness. She asked, "Jiangdan, where are you? I'll accompany you." "There's no need." Jiang Tian frowned. "Do you think I want to talk to you? If it wasn't for my dad's order, I wouldn't talk to you." Wu Zhihua complained in her heart. "However," she said coquettishly, "Jiangdan, you are a guest in Hong Kong. I have to be a good host. Then come to the Yongji porridge stall next to the Bauhinia Plaza. I'm having breakfast with my friends." Jiang Tian nodded. He could bring her to meet Superman Li or Li Zhikai at night. He called Su Zixuan and asked her to arrange it. On Wu Zhihua's side. On the first floor of the Peninsula Hotel. She hung up the phone and smiled disdainfully. "What a joke. You are staying at the Peninsula Hotel but eating at a food stall. I don't believe you." Sigh, Jiang Tian really likes to show off. Sun Jiaro shook her head and said disdainfully, "He must be feeling inferior. That's why he is acting like this. I think this Chinese bumpkin is trying to attract Zhihua's attention. He is already married, but he still has not given up." The person who spoke was a handsome young man in luxurious clothes. However, he gave off a frivolous and arrogant aura. A few years ago, Luo Ziho met Jiang Tian once. At that time, Father Wu wanted to matchmake Jiang Tian and Wu Zhihua, so Luo Ziho treated Jiang Tian like a formidable enemy. However, Luo Ziho casually teased Jiang Tian a few times and made Jiang Tian return dejectedly. Now, the Luo family's business was getting bigger and bigger. Luo Ziho's position in Wu Zhihua's heart suddenly rose and he became her #1 boyfriend candidate. Although Luo Ziho and Wu Zhihua were getting along well and were about to become boyfriend and girlfriend. However, when he thought of his former love rival, Jiang Tian, Luo Ziho was still very unhappy. He secretly decided to humiliate him this time. Chapter 699. Why are you being jealous? Don't you find it embarrassing to be jealous of him? Let's go. I will play with him for a few days and ask him to leave. I don't have time to play with idiots like him. Wu Zhiruo rolled her eyes at Luo Ziho and walked out of the hotel. She went to the car park and got into her car. I don't want to waste my time on him. Luo Ziho disdainfully got into his car and shook his head. I'm going back to the company. The representative from Yellow River Real Estate will be here soon. At the Wu family's Man Tingchun Real Estate. The Luo family owns a lot of shares in the company and Luo Ziho is their CEO. After a while, Wu Zhiruo and Sun Jiaro met up with Jiang Tian and the rest. Looking at the dirty restaurant and the cheap food, the two women were disgusted. They usually go to high-end Western restaurants and a meal costs at least a few thousand RMB. At the very least, Pizza Hut was a place where the elegant bourgeoisie would go. These roadside stalls are dirty and the waiters do not wear uniforms. There are also no famous chefs. These are the places where low-class workers eat. My dad's friend's daughter. This is... Jiang Tian introduced his friends to Wu Zhiruo. Jiang Chao and Zhen Shuai nodded and welcomed the beauties. Wu Zhiruo remembered that this woman had gone on a blind date with Jiang Tian. Never mind. Don't get too close to her. Wu Zhiruo and Sun Jiaro wiped the chairs a few times before sitting down. He said he knows Supermanly. What a joke. That's right. Look at his friends. All of them are like hooligans. They didn't eat either. They played with their phones and whispered to each other. Jiang Tian and the rest were dressed casually. Jiang Tian was dressed casually. Cheng Yi was honest. Jiang Chao was dressed casually. Tan Guangshu was a government official and kept a low profile. Only Zhen Shuai was dressed casually. But he did not look like a nouveau riche. The two women had exquisite makeup and were dressed luxuriously. They looked like they were not from the same world. Jiang Tian and the rest were eating and chatting. Jiang Chao said with a cheeky face, Marshal Zhen, every minute of the night is worth 1,000 gold. Last night was worth 1 million, wasn't it? 1 million a night? Are you serious? Sun Jiaro's eyes widened when she heard this. She looked away from her phone and nudged Wu Zhiruo with her elbow. Wu Zhiruo was also half believing and half doubting. She listened attentively. You might not believe it. Zhen Shuai drank the freshly squeezed juice and said casually, I took her to Causeway Bay to eat a bowl of dal noodles. I didn't find it interesting, so I chased her away. Have you paid? Jiang Chao asked. Pay as you wish. Fuck, you idiot. If you don't want to do it, I will. I'll be there with just a call. Seeing that Jiang Tian didn't say anything, Jiang Chao mustered up his courage and complained. Zhen Shuai laughed and said, If you go, 1 million won't be enough. You're not as handsome as me. Cheng ate the shrimp dumplings and asked with a smile, Zhen Shuai, what do you think? Is the gun out of bullets? When have I ever surrendered and not killed? She's older than me and she's very coquettish. I can't stand it. Zhen Shuai took out a cigarette and held it in his mouth, but he didn't light it. He shook his head and said, The key is that she's too tall. He's just like a fucking horse. I'll have to step on him from the back with 2 pieces of cloth. What a disappointment. You're still lacking when it comes to being a playboy. But when it comes to wasting resources, you're definitely the #1 in the Greater China Circle. Jiang Tian laughed so hard that he almost spat out the noodles. It was quite interesting to play with these childhood friends occasionally. The crowd also burst into laughter. Bullshit. Vulgar. At this time, Wu Zhiruo and Sun Jiaro understood. They shook their heads and said with disdain, Spending millions in one night just to eat a bowl of noodles with a female celebrity. Even the top tycoons in Hong Kong couldn't do that. Obviously, Jiang Tian and the others had already discussed and deliberately acted like this to attract the attention of the girls. But this was too exaggerated. Can't you be more logical and realistic? However, when Jiang Tian and the others laughed, they attracted the attention of some diners nearby. Don't you know that there's a smoking ban in Hong Kong? No manners. A guy with a dragon and tiger tattoo on his arm saw Zhen Shuai with a cigarette in his mouth and slammed the table and scolded. Zhen Shuai and Jiang Tian were newly promoted playboys. They had followed Jiang Tian to rise and had seen all kinds of big scenes. How could they stand being scolded like this? Zhen Shuai turned his head and stood up. He asked coldly, "Are you blind? I'm only holding a cigarette. Did I light it? Do you want to die?" Wu Zhihua turned her head and saw that the gangsters were all wearing black t-shirts with the words, "In Society." She was so scared that her face turned pale. She quickly said, "Don't mess with them. They're members of In Society. They're very bad. They don't even blink when they hit and kill people." Zhen Shuai's face was full of disdain. He sneered, "Society? I'm afraid of them? They're nothing. They have to kneel in front of our young master Jiang. How do you know how powerful they are?" Wu Zhihua's face was solemn and said nervously, "Recently, the Hong Kong independence forces have been rising. They've been gathering and marching illegally. It's very chaotic, and society is their behind-the-scenes supporter. They're the biggest society in Hong Kong. They have more than 100,000 members. More than 1,000 minibuses and tens of thousands of taxis in Hong Kong are all controlled by them. You've heard of Xiang Qiangxing, right? He's called Master Xing. He's the #1 boss in Hong Kong's entertainment industry. He's the boss of Huaxing Company. Hundreds of celebrities from Hong Kong, Macau and the mainland came to celebrate his birthday this year. And he's the behind-the-scenes controller of In Society. He's nothing." Zhen Shuai complained resentfully. A trace of disdain flashed in his eyes. "My brother Tian is here. Even the chief executive has to be polite, let alone him. You're still pretending? If you have the guts, fight with them." Sun Jiaro couldn't stand this group of mainland pretentious people. Her face was full of disdain as she deliberately mocked them. She wanted to see how long Jiang Tian and the rest could pretend for. "Sun Jiaro, don't stir up trouble." Wu Zhihua turned pale with fright. Jiang Tian was a mainland bumpkin. If he got into a conflict with them, wouldn't he be tortured to death? How was she going to explain this to her father? "Forget it. Don't disturb Jiang Tian's mood of eating." Cheng Yi glared at Zhen Shuai. Zhen Shuai was indignant, but he thought about it. Jiang Tian liked peace and quiet. He hated it when people made noise. So, he held back his anger and sat down. But their tolerance was seen as cowardly and easy to bully by the bosses of In Society. The tattooed man who was the leader scolded sarcastically, "Fuck, these mainland dogs are locusts. They're buying houses on behalf of buyers. They've made Hong Kong a stinky port." Beside him, there were a few burly men. They were all tall and strong. Some of them had a head full of yellow hair. Some of them were bald. They looked ferocious. It was obvious that they were not good people. When they heard their boss speak, they started to mock them. "Poor mainland bumpkins, I heard that you can't even afford tea eggs. Fuck, Northern Aunt and Northern Sister are all here. Their prices are so cheap that they've stolen the business of the local girls. Their moral standing is as cheap as their social status. I think these people are here with their wives to sell themselves. Their wives are selling themselves and they're counting the money for them." Cheng Yi and Tan Guangshu were still fine in the face of such mockery. They were both mature and steady. But Zhen Shuai and Jiang Chao were so angry that their lungs were about to explode. They gritted their teeth and their hands trembled. "Brother Tian, how can we tolerate this?" Jiang Chao clenched his fists angrily. "Brother Tian, don't worry. If you hit them, we can cover for you. We won't let you get into trouble." Zhen Shuai also pleaded. Seeing that they were only talking tough and did not dare to move, the mocking from the other side became even more intense. What did they say? They want to fight? Are they trying to provoke us? We can bully these mainland bumpkins however we want. If they dare to resist, we'll scare them to death. Come on, hit me. If you don't hit me, you'll take my surname. You're my son." Sun Jiaro also sneered and mocked at this time. "Hee, Jiang Tian, why don't you continue acting? Continue acting. Acting tough requires strength. If you don't have strength, you're an idiot. The other party is Ian Club. Do you dare to move? If you dare to move, don't even think about leaving Hong Kong alive today. When people scold you, you should just swallow it and be fine. Great, now you can't get out of this situation." Wu Zhihua was relieved when she saw that Jiang Tian and the rest did not make a move. But she could not help but feel even more disdain and contempt for Jiang Tian and the rest. They were indeed pretending. Jiang Tian slowly finished the last mouthful of noodles and wiped his mouth with a tissue. He shook his head and sighed. Since you can't bear it anymore, there's no need to bear it anymore. Let's fight. He was too lazy to fight against this kind of trash. But if Zhen Shuai and Jiang Chao wanted to fight, there was no need for him to stop them. They had the blood of the descendants of Yan and Huang, eating vegetables and food provided by the mainland. After being colonized for a few days, they had forgotten their ancestors and their motherland. They even thought that they were better than others. They were people who had forgotten their ancestors. They did not even count. Do it. If you don't do it, you're cowards. Sun Jiao was still mocking with a face full of disdain. She felt that Jiang Tian was completely bragging. How could Jiang Tian dare to provoke the Hong Kong Club? But as soon as Jiang Tian's voice fell, Zhen Shuai folded a folding stool and approached. Trash, kneel down and kowtow to admit your mistakes, or I'll beat you to death. The few Hong Kong punks had always looked down on the mainlanders. How could they tolerate such arrogance? Damn you! One of them immediately kicked Jiang Chao. One of them even took out a dagger and waved it around, showing off his strength. Damn! I'm afraid that you won't use your dagger. If you take out your dagger, I'll be able to kill you. Jiang Chao snorted coldly and slapped the face of one of the punks in front of him. Blood spurted from his mouth and he fell to the ground. Before the other one could kick, Jiang Chao kicked him in the knee. Crack! The other party's knee was directly broken, and blood was dripping. He screamed and fell to the ground, hugging his leg and rolling on the ground. Another person rushed over, and Jiang Chao punched him in the chest. The latter flew 5 or 6 meters away. At this time, the other punks realized that Jiang Chao was a martial artist. They were so shocked that their faces turned pale, and they did not dare to go forward. Only the tattooed young man who was the leader did not move. He looked at Jiang Chao with a sinister smile and sneered, "Mainland kid, you're quite good at fighting. But do you know who you're fighting? They're all from Ian Club's Wan Chai branch. My father is the tiger of Wan Chai, Chen Yaoxing. My godfather is the leader of Ian Club, Xiang Qiangxing. May I ask if you're afraid? May I ask if you can afford to offend them? Now, are you regretting it very much?" Then, the young man suddenly became cold. His gloomy eyes were full of biting cold killing intent. He slammed the table and roared loudly, "Now, all of you kneel down and kowtow to me, and I'll let you go. Otherwise, I'll make you a corpse on the street." Chapter 700. These mainlanders are definitely going to kneel. Of all the people they could mess with, they had to mess with the in society. This is Chen Yaoxing's son, Jie Zai. And he's the godson of and society's leader, Xiang Qiangxing. Who would dare to mess with them? I'm afraid they'll be killed. Jie Zai and his gang often kill people. They don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. The shop owner, waiters and other Hong Kong diners also looked at Jiang Tian and his gang coldly, their faces full of mockery. Jiang Tian, how could you really do it? What are you trying to do? Trying to be a hero. Now you're in big trouble. Seeing this, Sun Jiao was shocked and shouted angrily. Didn't you ask us to do it? Zhen Shuai felt that this woman was retarded and retorted directly. Sun Jiao was speechless for a moment, then she danced and argued unreasonably, I'm asking you to die now, why don't you die? Yes, you can fight, but don't you know how powerful Ian society is? They have guns. Is that something you mainlanders and ordinary people can afford to offend? We're all going to die because of you. She was angry and scared and was about to cry. Jiangtan, are you brainless? You really let them do it. Wu Zhihua was also angry. In society, that's not something you can afford to offend. Even I will be implicated by you. Suddenly, Jie Zai noticed the tall and snow-white Wu Zhihua. He sneered sinisterly. Oh right, your friends can't leave either. These 2 girls have to stay with us for a night, then I'll let you go. Fuck, we're just standing there. We're really going to die because of Jiang Tian. Sun Jiao was so scared that her face turned pale and she was about to cry. in society was shockingly powerful. It was not something a small rich family like them could afford to offend. Wu Zhihua was calmer and shouted righteously, "You're the ones who scolded and attacked first, and now you want us to apologize. Is there no law in Hong Kong?" "Hee, there is." Jie Zai sneered and said, "But Hong Kong's law is to protect the people of Hong Kong, not these locusts from the mainland." "Fuck your mother." Zhen Shuai swung the stool up high and viciously smashed it down on Jie Zai's head. Jie Zai screamed miserably and rolled on the ground. His head was bleeding profusely. He clutched his head in disbelief. He glared at Zhen Shuai and said angrily, "You damned piece of trash, how dare you hit me?" The punks from Yi in society were also stunned. It was understandable if the mainlanders had taken action just now. Don't they know Jie's identity? But now, they already knew Jie Zai's background, yet they still dared to make a move. Were they crazy? Remember this forever. Hong Kong belongs to Huaxia. Zhen Shuai approached him with a stool and said coldly, "It will always be an inseparable part of Huaxia. You are a Huaxia citizen. You will never have the right to insult the mainlanders and Huaxia." "I'm not from Huaxia, I'm from Hong Kong." Jie Zai struggled to get up, took out a butterfly knife, and viciously stabbed at Zhen Shuai. The butterfly knife flashed with a cold light. The speed of the stab was extremely fast, flashing a cold light. It was quite methodical. Jie Zai has made his move. He is an expert. The punks were excited. Unrepentant. Jiang Chao's right hand reached out like lightning, pinched his arm and suddenly twisted it. Jie Zai's arm was directly fractured, and the butterfly knife fell to the ground. Jie Zai screamed miserably. Zhen Shuai tacitly went forward and hit his face with the stool again. "Your father is the tiger of Wanchai? Come on, show me the tiger." Jie Zai staggered and spat out blood. His teeth fell out. Zhen Shuai hit him with the stool again and shouted angrily, "I heard that your godfather is Xiang Qiangxing. Come on, show me the strong, show me the victory." Jie Zai's head was bleeding, his nose collapsed, and his head was like a bloody gourd. He was dizzy. "Aren't you arrogant? Didn't you look down on the mainlanders?" "I am a mainlander. Stand up if you have the guts." Zhen Shuai hit his eyebrows with the stool again. Jie Zai fell to the ground, his eyeballs burst, and purple and black liquid sprayed all over the ground. Jie Zai screamed and shivered in fear. He crawled on the ground like a dead dog and drilled under the table. He had never seen such a ruthless mainlander before. Everywhere he went, he left a shocking trail of blood. "Aren't you awesome? Don't run. Don't be a coward." Jiang Chao kicked the table and dragged Jie Zai out like a dead dog. "Didn't you ask me to kneel down and kowtow? Otherwise, kill me. Who's the one losing now?" Zhen Shuai took advantage of the opportunity, raised the stool high and smashed it on his knee. Ouch! Jie Zai's knee was instantly crushed, blood flowed out. He was in so much pain that he convulsed and fainted. "Fuck you!" Jiang Chao flew up and kicked him in the chest again. Jie Zai knocked down 7 or 8 tables and fell out of the door. He then knocked into a car by the roadside and slowly fell down. His sternum collapsed, blood spurted out of his mouth, and he fainted. Wu Zhihua and Sun Jiaro were petrified and didn't dare to move a muscle. All the hoodlums had already run a few hundred meters away and didn't dare to approach Qin Fan. A few waiters and diners huddled in the corner, covering their heads with their hands and daring not to say a word. At this time, Jiang Tian slowly stood up and walked towards the silver-gray Bentley outside the door. When he passed by Jie Zai, Jiang Tian paused for a second and stomped on Jie Zai's hand. The 10 fingers were connected to the heart. The unconscious little hero screamed in pain and woke up. Jiang Tian didn't even look at him. He said lightly, "You are Xiang Qiangxing's adopted son? You dare to threaten us with this?" Jiang Tian sneered. "Please tell him to get out of Hong Kong in 3 days. Otherwise, he will die." What did he say? "He is too arrogant." Everyone was shocked by Chen Fan's words. Everyone thought that they were hallucinating. "Jiang Tian, you are out of your mind." Wu Zhihua and Sun Jiaro stomped their feet and thought that Jiang Tian had a death wish. Xiang Qiangxing was the leader of the in society in Hong Kong. Rumor had it that he was a branch of the 9-story pagoda in Taiwan and had connections with the Hong sect, the fucking gang in Japan, and the United Bamboo gang in Taiwan. Xiang Qiangxing had been in Hong Kong for decades and was a force to be reckoned with. Not even the police dared to mess with him. How dare Jiang Tian say something like that? He must be tired of living. We are staying at the Peninsula Hotel. If he is not afraid of death, he is welcome to challenge us. Then, Zhen Shui pointed a finger at Jie Zai's nose and scolded him. Xiang Qiangxing my ass. He is nothing compared to my brother Tian. Motherfucker, he's even barking when I'm eating. After that, the group of hoodlums swaggered out of the food stall. You are crazy. You have no idea what you are talking about. You are digging your own grave. Wu Zhiro rushed out of the restaurant. She was so angry and anxious that she started to beat her chest and stomped her feet. Those Chinese bumpkins were not qualified to challenge Xiang Qiangxing. They were going to be toyed with. They are so cunning. They are not staying at the Peninsula Hotel. How can Xiang Qiangxing find them? Sun Jiaro suddenly realized something. The next moment, Sun Jiaro said fearfully, but let's just ignore them. A wise man will not stand under a dangerous wall. Wu Zhihua thought about it and agreed. She walked quickly to Jiang Tian and said apologetically, Jiang Tian, I have a business meeting today, so you, okay, go ahead. Jiang Tian knew what she was thinking, but he didn't blame her. But I have an appointment with Superman Li's son. When are you free? It's Superman Li again. Wu Zhihua was so angry that she wanted to kick Jiang Tian away. She said coldly, I am sorry. I told you that I am very busy today. She waved her hand and walked away. Come, show off. Show off to your heart's content. Let them play you to death. I am too lazy to care about you. Jiang Tian and the others also wandered around casually. After breakfast, they drove away. Suddenly, Cheng Yi raised his eyebrows and said, Jiang Tian, there are 3 cars following us. Don't be nervous. They are our people. They're also Hong Kong police. Jiang Tian shook his head and smiled bitterly. He was afraid that his visit this time did not escape the attention of Hua Xia's officials, which made Hong Kong very nervous. Sure enough, a black Honda off-road vehicle sped up and drove side by side. The window rolled down, and in the passenger seat, Colonel Xu Wei, the liaison officer of Battle Dragon, looked at Jiang Tian and smiled sweetly. Master Kong, Mr. Chow and Mr. Yi are worried that someone here will provoke you, so they sent me here. Thank you. Jiang Tian nodded. In the other police car, there was a woman in a black suit and white shirt. The woman wore big sunglasses, but from her jade-white chin and bright red lips, one could tell that this woman was also a stunning beauty. She looked straight ahead and did not even look at Jiang Tian. She only showed him her police officer badge and introduced herself. Hong Kong Police Department, Senior Inspector of Public Relations Department, Fang Minxia. You don't have to. You are an eyesore if you follow me. Jiang Tian said indifferently. Fang Minxia turned the steering wheel and forced the silver Bentley to stop. Fang Minxia got out of the car quickly and knocked on Jiang Tian's window. Jiang Tian rolled down the window and said indifferently, What? Fang Minxia frowned and said coldly, Mr. Jiang, you and your friends have caused trouble as soon as you arrived in Hong Kong. Do you know that you are in danger now? Police beauty, you worry too much. In Hong Kong, no one can do anything to me. Jiang Tian said indifferently. Do you know who you beat this morning? Fang Minxia said angrily. Xiang Qiangxing's godson. Jiang Tian laughed. Who does he think he is? Even if Xiang Qiangxing was here and dared to clamor with me, I would still slap him. Mr. Jiang, you don't know about Xiang Qiangxing's influence in Hong Kong. Fang Minxia was stunned at first, then she looked at Jiang Tian with disdain. He controls tens of thousands of members of in society. He has the power to topple mountains and overturn seas. Even my father has to be courteous when he sees him. This man was too ignorant. The ignorant were fearless. Who is your father? Fang Guai, the director of Hong Kong Police Department. Fang Minxia said. What bullshit in society? Ha, the remnants of the Communist Party, the scum of society. Jiang Tian said calmly with a cigarette in his mouth. The Hong Kong Police Department does not crack down on crime, but they are courteous to a gang leader and even warned me, a law-abiding citizen. Don't you think it's ridiculous? If we were in China, we would have already ruled over him. Why would we let him live until now? Gangs run amok and commit murder on the streets. You call Hong Kong the safest city in Asia? What a joke. Chapter 701. It's not that the Hong Kong police don't want to arrest him. Fang Minxia's face turned red, and then she defended herself. If the 80,000 members of the society cause trouble together, Hong Kong will be in chaos. We once investigated him, but he started a march. 80,000 people? Who can control them? Can you? The more she spoke, the angrier she became. In the end, she shouted with a stern voice, "Mr. Jiang, I know you are very strong and have a lot of influence in the mainland, but he is a local tyrant. You don't understand the principle that a strong dragon can't suppress a local tyrant. Even if your body is made of iron, how many nails can you crush? Please don't cause me any more trouble." "Enough." Jiang Tian coldly interrupted. "If you think I'm suspected of breaking the law, then arrest me. If not, then don't follow me. Mr. Jiang, you don't know the seriousness of this matter." Fang Minxia was angry and anxious as she shouted. "Xiang Jiangxing, is that so great? Originally, I didn't plan to pay attention to such a small character, but after hearing what you said, I really want to torture him." Jiang Tian was too lazy to look at her. He expressionlessly rolled up the window and waved for Zhen Shuai to drive. Fang Minxia angrily got into the police car and said, "Miss Xu, isn't this Mr. Jiang too reckless?" "Inspector Fang, I think you're mistaken." Xu Wei said solemnly, "Mr. Jiang is not an ordinary person. He is an important ally of Hua Xia's government. The meaning of the conversation between Beijing and your police department is to remind the local forces of Hong Kong not to provoke him. But you are now warning Mr. Jiang. The Public Relations Department has already warned the society, but I think it's useless. In Hong Kong, no one dares to provoke the society. So, we can only persuade Mr. Jiang." Fang Minxia argued and did not back down. "Do you know? Just now, I received a tip that Mr. Jiang's friend Bai Choufei and Zhang Huchen beat up Kai Xiaofei. He is the nephew of Macau's gambling king. He also has a lot of influence. I won't persuade him." Xu Wei said coldly. "Mr. Jiang's ability is not something you can imagine. Not to mention the club, even if the Lian Gang and the Lianshan Club were to combine forces, they would still not be Mr. Jiang's match. If these young masters of Hong Kong insist on courting death, I'll kill them all. Then let them die." "Miss Xu, you're exaggerating," Fang Minxia said with disdain. "How much power can a rich second generation from the mainland have? When it comes to wealth, the four great families of Hong Kong and the gambling king of Macau, which mainland person can compare to them?" Xu Wei smiled in disdain and couldn't be bothered to explain anything. This group of people added up probably couldn't even compare to a single finger of Jiang Tian's. When Wu Jiruo and Sun Jiaro returned to Man Tingchun Real Estate Marketing Company, they immediately told Luo Ziho everything that had happened. "He's crazy." Luo Ziho jumped up from his chair in shock. "The Xiang family is the most powerful family in Hong Kong. Didn't Jiang Tian poke a hornet's nest? We can't care about them anymore. Also, you have to tell Uncle Wu to cut ties with them. Don't let the Xiang family find us." He reported the situation to Wu Buxiong. Wu Buxiong was also a little flustered. He hurriedly said, "Something might happen to Jiang Tian, but we can't just ignore it. How about this? Stay close to Jiang Tian at all times and protect him strictly. Also, I'll see if I can talk to Xiang Jiangxing." "What?" Wu Jiruo was going crazy. "Daddy, a gentleman doesn't stand under a dangerous wall. Why should we care about him? He's the one who got himself into big trouble. Why should we clean up after him? Jiruo, Jiang Tian will bring you great benefits. Trust your father's judgment." Wu Buxiong immediately called Jiang Tian. "Jiang Tian, come to my company." There's a business meeting in the afternoon. Help you out? Okay, I'll be right there. Jiang Tian didn't know the whole story, but he could only agree to Wu Buxiong's invitation. Dad, are you crazy? It's such an important occasion tonight. Jiang Tian will mess it up. Wu Zhihua was going crazy. She complained to her dad because she wanted to kick Jiang Tian away. She didn't expect her dad to drag Jiang Tian over. After she told Luo Ziho was so angry that he smashed his cup. This guy was simply a jinx. Jiang Tian hurried to the Wu family's man Ting Chun. Wu Buxiong was already waiting. He brought him around the company and chatted with him. Actually, he just wanted Jiang Tian to avoid him. In the afternoon, Luo Ziho and Wu Zhihua were almost done negotiating with a vice president of Yellow River Real Estate. At night, they held a banquet at a high-end club to invite the vice president of Yellow River Real Estate. At this time, Wu Buxiong called Wu Zhihua and Luo Ziho over. Zhihua, take Jiang Tian with you when you eat. I'm already retired. I won't accompany you. Uncle Wu, don't worry. I'll take good care of him. Luo Ziho knew Wu Buxiong was biased towards Jiang Tian, and he was jealous. But he didn't want to appear narrow-minded in front of his elders. That's why he brought Jiang Tian with him. Yellow River Real Estate's Vice President Liao was a middle-aged man who looked smart and capable. He had a slim face and a good body shape. His eyes were sharp, and he had a sharp temperament. His shirt was white, and he was wearing a navy blue Armani suit. His trousers were straight, and his shoes were shiny. His Patek Philippe watch was hidden in his sleeves. He looked low-key and tasteful. Yellow River Real Estate was one of the 4 richest families in Hong Kong. The Li family's real estate company was also the head company of the Li Group. Those who were able to become the vice president of such a big company and work for Superman Li and his son were all business elites. When Vice President Liao arrived at the club, he immediately started the banquet. He drank glass after glass of red wine. Vice President Liao was a talkative person. He bragged about his work experience in the US and Europe. However, his boasting didn't leave a trace, and it wasn't annoying. He was more like an honest elder imparting his life experience. He was completely different from Sun Jiaro, who was an idiot. Vice President Liao. Elite. Those who are able to work for Superman Li must be the cream of the crop. Everyone was also flattering him, and President Liao was overjoyed. As for Jiang Tian, Wu Zhihua and Luo Ziho treated him like an invisible person. The banquet was almost finished, and the atmosphere was good. Wu Zhihua took out the contract and said, Vice President Liao, let's sign the contract first, and then we can talk. Zhihua, finish this glass of wine, and let's talk in my car. Vice President Liao passed a glass of red wine to Wu Zhihua. Wu Zhihua was not feeling well. Her body was soft and she felt hot. She used to be a good drinker. What's wrong with her today? But she had to agree to Vice President Liao's request. After all, the profits from this contract were in the tens of millions, and it could solve the company's problems. Yellow River Real Estate was also a big client. Then I will accept your offer. Wu Zhihua smiled sweetly, took the wine cup and was about to drink it. Suddenly, a hand reached over and took the glass away from Vice President Liao and splashed it on his face. What are you doing? With a face full of red wine, Manager Liao stood up abruptly and pointed at Jiang Tian as he furiously shouted. Jiang Tian, what's wrong with you? Wu Zhihua's face turned green. From her point of view, Jiang Tian's actions were brainless and unreasonable. Jiang Tian, apologize to Vice President Liao now. Luo Ziho jumped up in shock. Vice President Liao was Superman Li's right-hand man, and he was highly regarded. He was in charge of more than 1 billion in real estate contracts every year. If Vice President Liao had a good impression of him, the Wu and Luo families would benefit greatly, and their companies would be revived. Wu Zhihua and Luo Ziho had spent a lot of effort to get close to Vice President Liao. But now, everything was ruined by Jiang Tian. Mr. Jiang, do you know who Vice President Liao is? How dare you offend him? One of Man Tingchuan's department heads stood up and pointed at Jiang Tian. It's over. It's over. Why is there such a lunatic here? It's all over now. One of Man Tingchuan's vice president exclaimed. He was sweating profusely. In order to get close to Vice President Liao, he had spent millions of Hong Kong dollars just to invite him to the yacht and golf. Why are you so blind? Apologize to Vice President Liao now. Do you know how important Vice President Liao's contract is to the company? How dare you be so rude? Some of the female staff were so angry that their faces turned green. Some of the staff members' eyes were red. In order to come up with the marketing plan, dozens of staff members worked overtime for more than 10 days without rest. How much effort did they put in? Now look at what happened. Jiang Tian's splashing of a cup of wine made Director Liao furious. All his previous efforts had gone to waste. For a moment, everyone in the room was pointing at Jiang Tian. They were angry, mocking, and despising him. It was as if Jiang Tian was a brainless idiot who didn't know when to back down, bringing endless trouble to the company and the Wu family. On the other hand, Jiang Tian sat there calmly and smiled. Who does he think he is? How dare he ask me to apologize to him? How dare you? Vice President Liao was shaking with anger. He glared at Jiang Tian and shouted, "You are the first person who dared to splash wine on me in Hong Kong." He looked at Wu Zhihua coldly and said, "Vice President Wu, I can't believe your staff was so disrespectful to me. I seriously doubt your sincerity. What's the point of talking about the contract?" After that, he stormed out of the room. Vice President Liao, please wait. He is not an employee of our company. Luo Ziho held him back and begged. He was so anxious that cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Wu Zhihua also tried to persuade him to stay. Vice President Liao, please calm down. I will make him apologize to you. At that moment, she hated Jiang Tian to the core. She had always hated Jiang Tian's pretentiousness. He didn't expect Jiang Tian to go from bad to worse. He actually dared to offend Chairman Liao and ruined his big order. Sure, but he has to kneel down and apologize to me. Vice President Liao stopped in his tracks and took a wet towel to wipe the wine off his face. He glared at Jiang Tian and said, "If this kid doesn't kneel down and apologize to me, I promise you that as long as I am in Yellow River, you will never get a single cent from Yellow River." He put his hands in his pockets and looked down at Jiang Tian like an emperor. He said without hesitation, "Don't worry, Jiang Tian. If he doesn't kneel down and apologize to me, I promise you that as long as I am in Hong Kong, you will never get a single contract from any real estate company in Hong Kong." Chapter 702. Mr. Liao was not exaggerating. Yellow River Real Estate was one of the top real estate companies in Hong Kong. Mr. Liao had a lot of connections in the industry. It was a piece of cake for him to cut off Man Tingchuan's livelihood. What he got in response was a clean slap across his face. Get lost. After slapping Mr. Liao, Jiang Tian wiped his hands with a wet towel as if slapping Mr. Liao would dirty his hands. This slap left everyone dumbfounded and at a loss of what to do. Wu Zhihua could not believe her eyes. Luo Ziho's mouth was wide open and his eyes were twitching. Everyone else felt like they were in a dream. Not only did Chen Fan splash wine, he even slapped Mr. Liao. Mr. Liao was the infamous Mr. Liao. Mr. Liao touched his own face. He could not believe what had just happened. Shortly after, a wave of anger enveloped his face. He was so angry that the veins on his forehead bulged. He pointed at Jiang Tian and fiercely said, "Good. Very good. How dare you hit me? Fuck you. I promise you that the Wu family will not survive in Hong Kong." Then he opened the door and stormed out. Even the gentle and refined President Liao, who had graduated from Princeton, exploded in anger. It could be seen how angry he was. After Mr. Liao left, the entire room was dead silent. The atmosphere seemed to have frozen. Everyone's faces were filled with despair. After a while, Wu Zhihua's eyes turned red. She waved her hands and screamed hysterically, "Jiangdan, what do you want? Do you have a brain? Do you want to destroy the Wu family? What do I have to do with you? Why do you have to do this to me?" Man Tingchun is in a precarious situation right now. If we don't get this deal, the company will be finished. Jiang Tian did not say a word. He shook his head and took out his phone to send a text message. There was something wrong with the wine. Mr. Liao asked Wu Zhihua to go to the car. Although Jiang Tian did not like Wu Zhihua, he had to repay Wu Buxiong's kindness. Therefore, he could not ignore the situation. After all, if something happened to his beloved daughter, Uncle Wu would definitely not be able to take the blow. However, Jiang Tian was too lazy to explain too much. It didn't matter how much Wu Zhihua misunderstood him. He would leave after repaying his gratitude. However, in Luo Ziho's view, Jiang Tian's expression meant that he was speechless. Although Man Tingchun would suffer losses, the Luo family would also suffer a certain amount of losses, but it would not be a serious blow. Therefore, at this moment, Luo Ziho's schadenfreude was probably unnecessary. He snorted with disdain. Jiang Tian, oh Jiang Tian, Uncle Wu thinks so highly of you. Is this what you want to bring to the Wu family? Contract voided, enemies on all sides, and the company closed down. Jiang Tian, you're really something. You're really capable. I've seen it all today. It's over. I've worked for nothing for the past few months. My bonus is gone. Bonus? I think we can't even get our salaries paid. Yeah, it's over. The company is over. It's all messed up by this brat. He doesn't have a brain at all. The other executives and employees were also full of hatred. They all mocked and scolded Jiang Tian, wishing they could skin him alive. At this moment, Jiang Tian smiled indifferently. What are you nervous about? It's just a contract worth tens of millions. Jiang Tian, you're really arrogant. Wu Zhihua could not bear to listen anymore. She abruptly interrupted. A contract worth tens of millions. Bring me one. Luo Ziho also mocked at the side. Yes. Young Master Jiang, you're awesome, rich, and willful. You're really capable. You're really resourceful. Since young Master Jiang is so capable, why don't you bring me a contract? Zhihua, don't worry. Don't you want a contract? Jiang Tian sipped his tea slowly and said with a faint smile, that's right. A contract worth hundreds of millions. I'll bring it to you in minutes. Also, that Mr. Liao will be back soon. And I'll make Mr. Liao kowtow to everyone and apologize. What the hell? Where did this weirdo come from? Who is Mr. Liao? He's Li Zhikai's right-hand man. How dare you make him kowtow to you? Are you kidding me? Full of nonsense. Is this guy a lunatic? Everyone face-bombed. They were so angry at Jiang Tian that they were speechless. Yes, he must be crazy. Wu Zhihua's heart skipped a beat. Jiang Tian had been crazy for a period of time. Later, she heard that he was cured. Could it have relapsed? Yes, it must be so. Otherwise, why would he keep talking nonsense along the way and even hit Mr. Liao now? This kind of crazy person's brain circuit is especially strange. It can't be understood with common sense. There's no way to communicate with him. But I'm dead because of him. Even if I explain to Mr. Liao, he might not believe me. Just as Wu Zhihua was about to scold Jiang Tian, suddenly, the door of the private room was pushed open from the outside. A young man with an elegant demeanor walked in. Behind him was a tall girl in an evening gown. It was the little witch, Su Zixuan. The young man was wearing a pair of gold-rimmed glasses. He looked elegant, handsome, and gentle. He had an air of nobility about him. This kind of temperament could only be cultivated through years of elite education and living in a wealthy family. Most people could not fake it even if they wanted to. Compared to him, Luo Ziho was like a country bumpkin from the village, dwarfed by him. Li Zhikai. Young Master Li, why are you here? We are doomed. Mr. Liao has called for reinforcements. Seeing him come over, everyone stood up one after another. Their hearts were thumping and their expressions changed drastically. Li Zhikai. The beloved son of Superman Li, the future leader of the Li family, one of the top 10 Chinese youths in the world, and one of the top 2 young masters in Hong Kong. Superman Li's family was a real tycoon. They had been in power for decades. It could be said that they were one of the wealthiest families in the Chinese community. They had topped the Forbes list of Chinese billionaires several times. As the only heir, Li Zhikai could represent the Li family. When he went to China, he was usually received by the leaders of the country. In Hong Kong, he could drink and chat with the governor of Hong Kong and the chief executive of Hong Kong. Although the Wu family and Luo family had some assets, they were nothing compared to Superman Li and Li Zhikai. They were like chickens that had seen a phoenix. Jiang Tian, you've killed me this time. Hurry up and apologize to Director Liao. Wu Zhihua stomped her feet and was about to cry. She saw Mr. Liao following behind Li Zhikai. He must have asked Li Zhikai to put pressure on the Wu family. That was too scary. After all, Mr. Liao could only represent the Yellow River, but Li Zhikai could represent the entire Li family. He was like a noble descendant of the heavens. With a single word, he had the power to destroy everything in his path. He could definitely crush the Wu clan into smithereens. Young Master Li, I am so sorry. I didn't expect you to come. Luo Ziho, on the other hand, was like a loyal dog that was wagging its tail and begging for mercy. Then, he turned his head to look at Jiang Tian and sternly reprimanded him. Jiang Tian, what are you waiting for? Kneel down and apologize to Mr. Liao. Even Li Zhikai is here. He won't be able to withstand the pressure. He will definitely kneel down to Mr. Liao. If I had known this would happen, I wouldn't have done it. This is the consequence of being arrogant. Many people in the room thought that Jiang Tian was dead meat this time. However, an inconceivable scene suddenly appeared. Boss Liao suddenly jumped out like a ferocious tiger, slapped Luo Ziho's face and said angrily, "Shut up, Luo Ziho. Do you want to kill me? Mr. Liao, what are you doing? Aren't I speaking up for you?" Luo Ziho's nose was bleeding and he almost fell to the ground. He looked at Mr. Liao in disbelief. What, Master Kong? Why did he hit Mr. Luo? He is targeting the wrong person. What is Mr. Liao trying to do? Everyone was also stunned and looked at Chairman Liao in disbelief. Their faces were filled with astonishment and confusion. But what happened next was even more shocking. Li Zhikai quickly walked to the front of Jiang Tian, lowered his noble head deeply, bent his waist almost to the ground, and said with the most respectful tone in his life, "Li Zhikai greets Master Kong." What? Master Kong? Everyone looked at Li Zhikai, who was standing in front of Jiang Tian as if he was the most loyal believer in the presence of God. Did I make a mistake? Wu Zhihua's eyes were wide open. She couldn't believe what she saw. She looked at Jiang Tian again for the first time. What kind of person was Li Zhikai? He was actually so respectful to Jiang Tian, a country bumpkin from the mainland. It was unbelievable. What was Jiang Tian's background? What was he capable of? How is this possible? Luo Ziho was also shocked. He couldn't believe it. Originally, he thought that Jiang Tian was a country bumpkin from the mainland and was penniless, but he did not expect that he could make Li Zhikai bow his head obediently. Jiang Tian sat on the chair and slowly peeled the grape skin. After peeling the skin, he raised his head and faintly said, "Get up." Li Zhikai ignored everyone's shocked gaze, as if it was natural for him to lower his head to Jiang Tian. He looked at President Liao and scolded, "Bastard, kneel down." Mr. Liao was so scared that his whole body quivered and he immediately knelt down. Slap him. Li Zhikai was neither lukewarm nor angry, but there was a sense of prestige without being angry. Pa 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 pa. The crisp sound of the slap echoed in the silent room, bombarding everyone's fragile nerves. Under the incredulous gazes of the crowd, Mr. Liao actually started slapping himself. He did not hold back at all, as if that face was not his, but someone else's. But Li Zhikai was still not satisfied. He raised his eyebrows and said lightly, "Didn't you eat? You guys help him." 3 burly black bodyguards walked in. They looked like boxers or mercenaries. 2 of them held President Liao, while the other one swung his arm and slapped President Liao's face. But with this slap, President Liao's jaw was immediately dislocated and his cheek swelled like a bun. Pa pa pa. The burly man swung his arm and kept slapping. In the blink of an eye, President Liao's face became swollen, and the bodyguards did not intend to stop. What an honor to be able to work with Master Kang's friend. Li Zhikai's gaze was sharp, and he scolded sternly. "But you dog, you don't recognize the real person, you have eyes but fail to see. How dare you bark and threaten in front of Master Kong? Not only did you embarrass our Li family, you also offended Master Kong. Do you know that Master Kong is our Li family's benefactor? What? Everyone was shocked again, and they could not believe it. They looked at Jiang Tian in horror. Chapter 703. Everyone was very uneasy. They had just mocked Jiang Tian. If Jiang Tian was angry, how could they survive? Li Shikai bowed to Jiang Tian again. A cold, murderous intent flashed across his face as he said in a low voice, Master Kong, if you are not satisfied, I can make him disappear from this world completely. He is going to kill someone. Everyone was so scared that their hair stood on end and cold sweat poured down their backs. They had never seen Li Shikai kill so decisively, so ruthlessly and viciously. After all, in front of the media and in front of the public, Li Shikai had always been gentle and elegant, like a fine young master in a chaotic world. Grandmaster Jiang, I know I was wrong. I beg you to forgive me and let me off. Mr. Liao was even more scared. He was so scared that he wet his pants. He kowtowed and screamed. Ask him to leave. Jiang Tian waved his hand casually as if he was shooing away a fly. He was too lazy to argue with such a small character. It was too embarrassing. After receiving Li Shikai's signal, an assistant respectfully placed a contract on the table and slowly left. Wu Zhirua picked up the contract and looked at it. She was stunned and couldn't believe it. It was a strategic cooperation agreement that would last for 10 years. The contract was 10 times the original amount. The sales of all the real estate projects under Yellow River Real Estate would be handled by the Wu family. Moreover, the benefits were great and the conditions were generous. It could be said that the Wu family could earn 200 to 300 million in a year. Li Shikai said with a joyful smile, Master Kong, this is the cooperation plan with the Wu family. Consider it a token of our gratitude to Master Kong from the Li family. There was even a trace of fear in his eyes. His hands were even trembling slightly. Others didn't know, but Li Shikai had heard about Master Kang's great achievements from Superman Li. He was number 1 on the global strong ranking. He dominated the martial arts of Huaxia. He was invincible and suppressed half of the hidden Wudang sect. He was known as Jiang Dixian. He fought in Japan, hunted in France, and single-handedly turned Sidonia into the 6th most powerful country in the world, known as Jiang Lai Nation. Such an expert was like a god, controlling life and death, and following his heart. His friends, disciples, and students all benefited from his blessings and became more prosperous with each passing day. Their futures were bright. All those who offended him were crushed into pieces. They were defeated like a landslide, and their fates were miserable. There was absolutely no good ending for them. Since they returned from Wudong, Superman Li and his son had been trying their best to get on Jiang Tian's good side through Su Majai. But Su Majai was only at the periphery of Jiang Tian's camp. He had no say in this. This made Superman Li and his son anxious. This morning, Su Zixien called and said that Master Kong could come to Hong Kong to meet Li Shikai. To Li Shikai, this was simply a blessing from the heavens. How could Li Shikai let go of such a good opportunity? In the afternoon, he waited at this clubhouse, but he didn't expect that Mr. Liao would make such a big mistake and offend Master Kong and his friends. At this time, Li Shikai was really scared. He was afraid that Jiang Tian would kill him if he didn't agree with him. After all, Jiang Tian was someone who could easily kill Gong Yile of the 9-story pagoda and Qin Anping of Wudang sect. This, Wu Zhirua was stunned again. She couldn't help but remember that Jiang Tian said that he would introduce Superman Li and Li Shikai to him. She also remembered that Jiang Tian said that Mr. Liao would come over to apologize and that there would be a big contract. But she didn't believe him at that time. She only thought that Jiang Tian was bragging to attract her attention. She even thought that he was crazy. But now, Wu Zhirua only felt that her pretty face had been slapped until it was completely red. She even felt that her cheeks were swollen. Young Master Li, you must be mistaken. Luo Ziho thought that Li Shikai had misunderstood and quickly went forward to say, What Master Kong? His name is Jiang Tian, a mainlander from Jinling. He doesn't know anything. It seems that Luo Ziho and Wu Zhihua don't know Master Kang's strength and seem to dislike him. They are blind. I originally wanted to help the Wu family and Luo family so that I can ride on Master Kang's coattails. But now, it seems that I have to know my limits. Li Zhikai's eyes flashed with a hint of mockery, but he didn't say anything. Instead, he smiled and said, Master Kang, my father had invited you several times through Master Su Majai. But you were busy and didn't have the chance to meet you. Now that you have finally set foot in Hong Kong, please do me the honor and stay at the Li family for a few days. Let us show our filial piety. After he said that, Wu Zhihua was so shocked that she was dumbfounded. Her hands trembled slightly. Listening to what he said, not only did Jiang Tian know Superman Li, but Superman Li also treated him with respect. He wasn't bragging at all. It was me who looked down on Superman Li and Jiang Tian. Meanwhile, Luo Ziho finally realized Jiang Tian's terrifying strength, and his face instantly flushed red. It seemed that Superman Li had known Jiang Tian for a long time. He knew him very well. Li Zhikai didn't misunderstand him. But I still looked down on him and treated him like a country bumpkin. I was blind. I appreciate your kindness, but it's not necessary. I still have a few friends to accompany. Jiang Tian finally showed a faint smile on his face. Li Zhikai saw this and secretly heaved a sigh of relief. The heavy burden on his heart was lifted. Master Kang smiled. He finally smiled. Great. That's great. This means that at least Master Kang won't make things difficult for the Li family because of Mr. Liao's matter. The Li family is saved. Master Kang, in a few days, the Li family and China Joint Office will be holding a Lantern Festival charity dinner. We will be inviting all the tycoons and celebrities from both sides of the Taiwan Strait. Please come. Li Zhikai gained a little more courage. Once again, his face was full of joy as he earnestly pleaded. Jiang Tian, bring me along too. Wu Zhihua looked at Jiang Tian and said earnestly, Huaxia is a social society, and it is important to make connections. If you can make connections with a heavyweight like Superman Li, you will benefit from it for the rest of your life. Jiang Tian smiled noncommittally. The Li family is so calculative. China Joint Office is the representative office of Huaxia's central government in Hong Kong. The Li family is holding a Lantern Festival charity dinner with them and invited Feng Yu to attend. This is because they want Feng Yu to endorse the Li family and show the other influential people that the Li family has a good relationship with the central government. However, if Chen Jinming wants to expand his business in Hong Kong, he will need the cooperation of these influential people. We'll see. If I have time, I will go. Thinking up to this point, Jiang Tian did not reject him directly and gave him some uncertain information. Good. It will be the Li family's honor. Li Zhikai was overjoyed. He glanced at everyone and said, Master Kang, have a good time with your friends. I won't disturb you anymore. I will take my leave now. Li Zhikai left with his people. Everyone in the room was silent for a long time. Everyone was embarrassed. After all, they had humiliated Jiang Tian for a long time. In the end, not only did Jiang Tian get the contract back, it was a big contract with several times the profit. Jiang Tian, thank you. Tonight. Finally, Wu Zhihua broke the silence and wanted to apologize for her rude behavior. But at this time, Jiang Tian looked at his phone. Something seemed to have happened on Zhen Shuai's side. His face darkened, and he immediately stood up and said, I still have something to do. I won't accompany you. He lifted his foot and left. Master Kang, I'll send you off. Su Zishuan quickly followed. No need. Jiang Tian waved his hand and quickly disappeared into the night. Seeing Jiang Tian leave and ignore her, Wu Zhihua was a little annoyed. Why was he so arrogant? Didn't he just help me get a contract? However, she was very curious about Jiang Tian. She pulled the little witch Su Zishuan and asked, Miss Su, what is Jiang Tian's background? Even Li Zhikai respects him so much? By the way, I apologize on his behalf for offending Master Su Majai with his words. He is very vain and reckless. He is always aggressive and doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Su Zishuan originally wanted to talk to Wu Zhihua. After all, the Wu family and the Jiang family had been friends for generations. But at this time, she couldn't help but feel disgusted with her. Just because Master Kong saved your father's life, just because he saved you and helped you today, you shouldn't slander him so harshly. This woman looked like she was full of jewels, but she was too snobbish and not worth being friends with. It was better to stay away from her. Master Kong is an extraordinary person. I hope you respect him and cherish this friendship. Otherwise, you will regret it. Su Zixuan's smile gradually faded, and she quickly left. I'm sorry, I still have something to do. Goodbye. Extraordinary person? Wu Zhihua was stunned, and her heart moved. So Jiang Tian should be the same as Su Zixuan, a feng shui master or something. He forced out a black gas from father's body. He must be a feng shui master. In Hong Kong, feng shui was very popular. Many rich and famous people worshipped people in feng shui. If Jiang Tian learned some feng shui by chance, it was possible to make Superman Li's family respect him. But unfortunately, this respect was only on the surface. Just like in ancient times, Meng Changjun had 3,000 customers, and even the crows of chickens and dogs would be friends with him. Therefore, Jiang Tian still couldn't be compared to the real young masters of rich and powerful families. He was just someone's lackey. If he had no value, the Li family would immediately abandon Jiang Tian cruelly. A feng shui master, and you think you can use a chicken feather as an arrow? You think too highly of yourself. Wu Zhihua snorted and looked at Jiang Tian with disdain. Others gave you face and you just accepted it. You really let Li Zhikai hit you. You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Even if you have some ability, how can you go far? Luo Ziho, you are too useless. You actually got slapped. If this spreads out, won't I be embarrassed to death? At this time, Wu Zhihua was also a bit disappointed with Luo Ziho. He was slapped by Chairman Liao, but he did not dare to fight back. He was too weak. And Chairman Liao's identity was just a high-ranking henchman of the Li family. Seems like Luo Ziho was not comparable to the real rich families. The situation is forcing me. In Hong Kong, whoever had the money would have the right to do so. I am not doing this for the company. Luo Ziho's face froze when he heard what Wu Zhihua said. He was a bit annoyed, and he was also jealous of Jiang Tian. Today, when compared to Jiang Tian, he looked like a fool. Maybe Wu Zhihua had a good impression of Jiang Tian. I cannot let this matter rest. I must find a chance to make Jiang Tian lose face in front of Wu Zhihua. Chapter 704. On the other hand, Jiang Tian returned to the Peninsula Hotel to meet up with Zhen Shuai and the rest. In the room, apart from Jiang Tian and his buddies, there were also several Hong Kong police officers such as Xu Wei and Fang Minxia. What's going on? Seeing that Zhen Shuai seemed a little uneasy, Jiang Tian asked. I received a few threatening phone calls, saying that they wanted to kill me. They said that I touched some woman that I shouldn't have. Zhen Shuai smiled and said, Isn't that funny? I didn't molest her, nor did I force her. Why shouldn't I? Mr. Jiang, you saw it. This is the consequence of offending in society. I advise you to apologize to them. Fang Minxia said. Officer Fang, are you crazy? Jiang Chao slammed the table and roared, Black organizations threaten good citizens and ask us to apologize? Shouldn't you be the one who arrested them? They don't admit that they made the threatening phone calls. Fang Minxia retorted angrily, Besides, we don't have any evidence. What can I do? Maybe it really wasn't in society. Zhen Shuai, you didn't sleep with Xiang Qiangxing's mother. Jiang Tian shook his head and said lightly, However, Officer Fang, help me warn Xiang Qiangxing from Sun. If he's the one making trouble, come over and kneel before my buddies and apologize. Fang Minxia looked at Jiang Tian as if he was crazy and said sarcastically, Mr. Jiang, do you know what you're talking about? In Hong Kong, who can make Xiang Qiangxing apologize and kneel? You don't know your place. Hearing this, Zhen Shuai and the rest were a little annoyed and glared at Fang Minxia. Of course I know what I'm talking about. Jiang Tian said lazily. He had already sentenced Xiang Qiangxing to death in his heart. Jiang Chao said angrily, "And you, Fang Minxia, I hate you very much. If you can't protect my friends, then get lost. Don't follow us, it's annoying." "Yeah, we wanted to invite a few local girls tonight, but the police are here. We're embarrassed." Zhen Shuai shook his head and said, "Dirty. Disgusting." Fang Minxia was so angry that she left. "I really don't want to bother with you guys anymore. You really don't know what is good for you. Fighting with Xiang Changxing, you really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. If you want to die, then go ahead." The next day, just as Jiang Tian woke up, Zhen Shuai and a few of his little brothers ran over and asked, "Brother Tian, what's the activity today?" Jiang Tian said solemnly, "Next, we're going to complete a political mission." "What? Political mission? The old master ordered me to do so. I have to do it." "Grandpa Chang'an?" everyone asked. Jiang Tian nodded. "Didn't he set up a charity fund?" One of the projects was to help the veterans of the anti-Japanese war, the War of Resistance, the War of Resistance, and the War of Aggression against Vietnam. It includes living allowance, medical treatment, and an activity. "What?" Veteran Tour. Jiang Tian sighed. These veterans have shed their blood for the motherland and the people. But some of them don't have a good life, and they might not have even been to Hong Kong, Macau, or Taiwan in their entire lives. Therefore, the foundation organized them to walk around and see the prosperity and achievements of their motherland. At present, a group of veterans has arrived at Hong Kong's airport. I'll go and pick them up. "I don't want to go. I want to go to Macau's casino. What's so fun about those old grandpas?" Zhen Shuai was reluctant. "Young Master Jiang has spoken. Are you qualified to suggest anything? If you have any opinions, keep them to yourself." Jiang Chao slapped him on the head. "Go. These veterans are all heroes. It's very meaningful for us to accompany them," Cheng Yi said. "In that case, I won't trouble you to pick them up. I'll go personally. You can accompany them during the afternoon tour. Accept the education of patriotism." Jiang Tian quickly finalized, drove a business car, and rushed to Hong Kong's international airport. On the way, Jiang Tian received a call from Wu Zhu. "Jiang Tian, where are you today? I'll accompany you. I'm afraid I don't have time. I have a few important guests from the mainland to receive." Jiang Tian shook his head. He wanted to repay the Wu family's kindness. This was morality. However, it was obvious that Wu Zhirua was prejudiced against him. Jiang Tian couldn't be bothered to pay attention to her. Later, he would give her $1 billion or so, and that would be the best he could do. "Guess?" Wu Zhirua sneered. "If it wasn't for my father forcing me to accompany you, I wouldn't have bothered with you." However, her heart suddenly skipped a beat. Although Jiang Tian was just an eccentric in the world of feng shui, he must know a lot of important people. She might be able to get to know some rich people through Jiang Tian. Jiang Tian also said that it was an important guest. It must be Jiang Tian's big backer in the mainland. She quickly changed the topic and said enthusiastically, "Jiang Tian, I'll accompany you. After all, I grew up in Hong Kong. I can be your tour guide. Also, this is my father's idea. If you don't let me accompany you, I'll complain. Then let's meet at Hong Kong's international airport." Hearing her words, Jiang Tian could not refuse. If Uncle Wu knew that he and Wu Zhirua did not get along well, he would not feel good. In the airport lobby, Wu Zhirua, Sun Jiaro, and Luo Ziho hurried to meet Jiang Tian. Wu Zhirua seemed to have dressed up today. She wore a short suit, a snow-white shirt, and a short skirt that revealed her slender legs. She was dressed like a beauty in the workplace. Her makeup was exquisite and glamorous. She wore teardrop-shaped diamond-studded earrings and 8-centimeter high heels, which made her 1.75-meter body look curvy. She stood out from the crowd and attracted everyone's attention. Luo Ziho was also dressed in a tailored Armani suit. He looked well-dressed and had an extraordinary aura. Sun Jiaro was also dressed like a cute girl, but she was also wearing branded clothes. She was very outstanding. Compared to the three of them, Jiang Tian was dressed casually and simply. He looked out of place in the luxurious airport. Jiang Tian, thank you so much for yesterday. Wu Zhirua suppressed the disgust in her heart. She held Jiang Tian's arm and smiled sweetly. Of course, his attitude toward Jiang Tian had not changed. He just wanted to use this opportunity to get to know Jiang Tian's big backer in China. You're welcome. It's nothing, Jiang Tian said casually. Young Master Jiang, I'm really sorry about yesterday. I was worried that you would offend Mr. Liao. It was all out of kindness. Luo Ziho stepped forward and apologized with a smile. However, deep in his eyes, there was a flash of fierceness and jealousy. What was Wu Zhirua doing? How could she hold his arm? She had never been so affectionate with him. Jiang Tian nodded slightly. Jiang Tian did not care about those irrelevant people. Looking at the timetable, the flight had arrived. But after waiting for half an hour, the guests still did not come down. Jiang Tian, what kind of guests are you welcoming this time? He must be a big shot. Wu Zhirua said impatiently with a faint smile. They are the guardians of Huaxia, the heroes of the nation, and the most respectable people. Jiang Tian said solemnly. What are you bragging about? Sun Jiao smiled disdainfully. Don't tell me they are the founding fathers of China? Wu Zhirua and Luo Ziho looked at each other and saw the anticipation in each other's eyes. They waited for another 10 minutes. A total of 11 old men walked out of the airport passageway with the help of a few staff members and arrived late. They wore the same small yellow caps, but most of them were wearing old military uniforms and carrying a flat military water bottle. If one looked closely, some of them were captured trophies of the American and Japanese forces. Most of them seemed to be very poor. Their hands were rough and cracked. They were probably doing manual labor. Some of them even wore outdated green shoes and old cloth shoes. A few of them were disabled. Those with broken legs had prosthetics and crutches. Those with broken arms had empty sleeves. Some of them were even in wheelchairs. They looked like country bumpkins entering a city. Their eyes were filled with nervousness, excitement, joy, and curiosity as they looked around. Blackhead, are you blind? Follow me. Why are you going to the ladies' room? The leader of the group was a relatively healthy old man. He carried a small red flag and walked as valiantly as possible to attract everyone's attention. There were a few words written on the red flag. Veterans Worldwide Tour Group. They are coming. Jiang Tian's face lit up and he hurried to greet them. Are they Jiang Tian's guests? They are a bunch of old men with no status, and no ability. Wu Zhirua and Luo Ziho stood still in the distance. They looked at each other with disappointment written all over their faces. Isn't Jiang Tian wasting our time? What's there to accompany a bunch of old men? He is bragging again. Sun Jiao stomped her feet and gnashed her teeth in anger. Xiao Yuan, how come it is you? Jiang Tian asked in surprise when he saw that the leader was Yuan Kersin. I was wondering why Grandpa Chang'ing said that there would be a surprise for me. So the surprise is that you are in Hong Kong. Yuan Kersin didn't expect to meet Jiang Tian here. She ran over with a surprised face and said with a smile, Humph, now that Sidoni's medical conditions are so good, I have no place to show my skills. Has your medical aid team been disbanded? Where is Zhu Jiangchao? Jiang Tian asked with a smile. Yes, it has been disbanded. Zhu Jiangchao is now working in Sidoni's Ministry of Health. You are so cool. You don't even know this. Yuan Kersin said with a smile. Of course, she knew about Jiang Tian's lofty status and terrifying strength. However, she felt that Jiang Tian was not an unapproachable person. Most of the time, he was very easygoing. Jiang Tian smiled. There were hundreds of officials in Sidoni's cabinet, not to mention the various ministries and commissions. How could he know all of them? Yuan Kersin said again, Grandpa Chang'ing thought that I did a good job in the medical aid team. Since the Veterans Charity Project was launched, he suggested that I work here. So I came. Then let's get in the car quickly. The veterans must be tired. Jiang Tian patted her shoulder and said with a smile, in the next few days, they will be the main characters. In the next few days, they are the main characters. Our mission is to make them happy, serve them well, and keep them company. Chapter 705. Hey, you're a godlike person. You know how to serve people? I don't believe it. Yuan Kursen looked at Jiang Tian mockingly and smiled mischievously. I know how to treat illnesses. If the old men have any difficult illnesses later, I'll treat them. Jiang Tian smiled. Soon, Jiang Tian, Yuan Kursen, and the others hurriedly helped the veterans into the car. As for Wu Zhihua and the other two, they did not do anything from the beginning to the end. Some of these veterans were disabled and had difficulty moving. They were dressed shabbily and cowardly. Some had the sequelae of a stroke. Their mouths were crooked and their eyes were slanted. They were even drooling and wearing bibs. It was disgusting. If they wanted to dirty their branded clothes, they would have to throw them away. Jiang Tian, these people are... Wu Zhihua followed Jiang Tian and asked when they were about to set off. They are our benefactors, our backers, and our precious wealth. Jiang Tian said without thinking. These veterans had fought bloody battles and braved the rain of bullets to protect Huaxia. They could be said to be the benefactors of every Huaxia people. The patriotism of the veterans could also be said to be the backbone and most precious spiritual wealth of the Huaxia people. These old men look like ordinary people at first glance, and they are even very poor. But they are the benefactors and backers of the Jiang family. They can actually help the Jiang family. It seems that the Jiang family is getting worse and worse. Wu Zhihua immediately despised Jiang Tian in her heart. It seems that Jiang Tian is not doing well in the mainland. I don't know how he tricked Li Zhikai. It seems that I really overestimated him yesterday. Let's not talk about Jiang Tian anymore, right? It's a complete waste of time. Sun Jiaro said with disdain. Hee, I've said it before. Jiang Tian is just a loser. He has no ability. Forget it. Since we're here, let's accompany them. Wu Zhihua was also very disappointed. She covered her mouth with her hand and yawned, saying listlessly, Jiang Tian, I know a restaurant that specializes in Cantonese cuisine. It was very suitable for these old people's tastes. I'll take you there. At this time, Luo Ziho's eyes suddenly flashed with a trace of ruthlessness. He moved closer to Jiang Tian and suggested with a smile. But Jiang Tian nodded with an indifferent attitude. Lan Fengyuan restaurant in Kowloon was a famous restaurant in Hong Kong. This restaurant was located in a crowded area. Business was good, and the daily turnover was in the millions. At the entrance of the dining hall, Luo Ziho answered a phone call and then pretended to apologize. Jiang Tian, I'm really sorry. I have an important client to attend to. I'm afraid I don't have time to accompany you. Help yourself. Jiang Tian nodded. Zhihua, come with me. Luo Ziho glanced at Wu Zhihua and Sun Jiaro. I still have a few words to say to Jiang Tian, so I'll accompany him. Wu Zhihua pulled Luo Ziho to the side. Luo Ziho suddenly became anxious. Zhihua, he's already married. You can't really... What are you thinking about? Even if he's not married, why would I fall for a loser like him? Wu Zhihua smiled disdainfully. I'm staying to make it clear to him. Don't let him pester me anymore. If he wants to take advantage of me, I'll give him 1 or 2 million. Okay, go ahead. Luo Ziho's face lit up. Hee, it's my honor to have a meal with these big shots. Sun Jiaro rolled her eyes and laughed coquettishly. She didn't want to have a meal with Jiang Tian. These old people were disgusting. However, he would properly pressure Jiang Tian later and see how he would explain himself. Seeing Jiang Tian and the others enter the private room, Luo Ziho's face flashed with a hint of cunning. He entered the elevator and went upstairs to the general manager's office. Young Master Luo, I saw you just now. I was about to go downstairs to say hello. I didn't expect you to come up first. The restaurant's general manager was dressed luxuriously. He was fair and plump, but he gave people a sense of treachery. He sat behind the luxurious desk with his legs crossed and said with a chuckle, You're right. Why are you eating in my restaurant? Are those people your friends? If so, I'll serve you real wine. Friends? Fuck them. Luo Ziho sat down, picked up the cigar on the table, lit it, and cursed. These bumpkins from the mainland don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. They even pursued Wu Zhiro before. These days, they've been going against me. Today, you have to make them pay. Huh, looks like they're not friends, but enemies. The restaurant's owner, Zhou Yulang, was overjoyed. He slapped his thigh and laughed. Don't worry, young Master Luo. I promise to take care of them. My restaurant has always been a place to bully the mainland people. Also, wasn't Jiezai beaten up in the Bauhinia Square yesterday? It was this Jiang Tian who did it. Luo Ziho's face suddenly turned ruthless and said coldly, I'll go against his lungs. There's a road to heaven, but he doesn't take it. There's no door to hell, but he still barges in. Zhou Yolang's fat face was full of killing intent and coldness. He didn't look like a legitimate businessman, but a ruthless person. In fact, he was really a ruthless person. He was originally a member of the Yi and society and ran a lot of illegal businesses. Zhou Yulang grinned and said, after Jiezai was beaten up, his father, the tiger of Wanchai, Chen Yaoxing, was very angry. Even Boss Yang was alerted and issued a kill order to find these mainlanders. But he couldn't find them. I didn't expect you to send them here. I owe you for this. Thank you. Don't worry, they in society won't treat you badly. If you need any help, just ask. We're good brothers, there's no need to be so polite. If there's a chance, introduce me to young Master Xiang. A trace of pleading appeared on Luo Ziho's face. The so-called young Master Xiang was the crown prince of the and society, Xiang Qian. Although Xiang Qian's wealth and status were lower than Li Zhikai, Xiao Yunhao and the other 4 young masters of Hong Kong, he could only be considered as a second or third young master. But he had the backing of a society and was also a person who knew everything. Of course, a 4th or 5th young master like Luo Ziho wanted to know him. Okay, I'll do my best. Zhou Yulang agreed, but his heart was full of disdain. A piece of trash like you wanted to be friends with young Master Xiang? Dream on. He was the crown prince of one of the top societies in Hong Kong. Would he care about a small fry like you? Veterans, what do you like to eat? Jiang Tian and the others entered a private room. Yuan Kursen called the waiter and asked the veterans to order. How did you grow this broccoli? It costs 120 yuan per plate? I don't want to eat any more. This restaurant is too expensive. I have instant noodles here. Ask for some boiled water and bubbles to make do with it. The vegetables in Hong Kong are so expensive. Can we rent the land here? How about we rent the land and grow vegetables here? The veterans opened the menu and looked at the prices. Their faces changed and they threw the menu on the table. They had all come from tough times. They knew that a happy life was not easy to come by and it was easy to be satisfied. They had been trained in the army and developed the habit of being thrifty. They felt that it was too extravagant and wasteful. Why are you so poor? This is just my daily expenses. My meal costs more than 1,000 yuan. Sun Jiaro said disdainfully. Yuan Kursen's face stiffened and said, Grandpas, don't be afraid of wasting money. The rich man is here. Jiang Chongging's grandson, Mr. Jiang Tian. He is very rich. Grandpa veterans, you just have to eat. You came here just to taste the local specialties. Jiang Tian also persuaded them, you have shed blood for the liberation of our nation and the independence of our country. Now that you are living a good life, it's time to enjoy it. In the whole of Huaxia, you are the most qualified to enjoy it. The veterans hesitated for a while and did not insist. Yuan Kursen quickly ordered the dishes and a few bottles of wine and drinks. Everyone ate happily. Wu Zhihua and Sun Jiaro did not touch their chopsticks. They just sipped their tea. They despised this bunch of old people. They were filthy. Jiang Tian noticed that these veterans were very thrifty. After a plate of food, they poured the soup into a bowl of rice. When the rice grains fell on the table, they carefully picked them up with chopsticks and ate. Wu Zhihua and Sun Jiaro saw this scene and couldn't help but feel even more disgusted and despised. The mainland was too poor. At this time, Jiang Tian's phone rang. He looked at the message and smiled. Veterans, I'll call a big star over today to sing a song for all of you. Famous singer? Who is it? One of the veterans asked excitedly. Li Huiyan, Jiang Tian said with a smile. At this time, Wu Zhiruo, who had been holding back the whole time, could not stand it anymore. She said coldly, Jiang Tun, can you stop bragging? Why are you bragging? Jiang Tian asked calmly. You have been bragging. Wu Zhiruo said angrily. You are too vain. It is not scary to have no money and no ability, but it is scarier to brag without ability. Say, who do you think you are going to invite today? They are just a bunch of paupers who would pick up the food that fell on the table to eat. How much is Li Huiyan worth? At least a few $100 million. She is richer than the Wu family. She is one of the top celebrities in Huaxia. Inviting her to sing once would cost at least a few 100,000 or a few million. Can you afford it? That means you have the money, but do you have the connections? Li Huiyan is famous in the circle for being virtuous and clean. She doesn't even care about rich and powerful people, let alone you. Even if you have the money and the ability to invite her, is it just for a few veterans? Why do you have to spend the money? Even if you have the money, you shouldn't waste it like that. Are you brainless? You're really showing off all the time, blowing your own trumpet and taking great pains to express yourself. You've even forgotten basic logic and human nature. Haha, I called Li Huiyan over. She can't be happier. Jiang Tian smiled faintly and said, also, you think it is not worth it to spend money for the veterans, but I think it is. It is much more meaningful than buying a few luxury items to decorate the shop. Is that so? Jiangtan, you like to brag so much. Did you graduate from a fancy bragging major? Sun Jiaro also seemed to have seen through Jiang Tian. Her face was full of disdain as she said coldly, later, you will definitely make a phone call and pretend that Li Huiyan wanted to come, but she had something to do at the last minute or was stuck in a traffic jam, right? What's the point of pretending like that? Jiang Tian, you want to use this method to show off your wealth, your ability, and your connections to me. And then make me regret it. Am I right? At this time, Wu Zhiruo said mockingly, you are wrong. Even if you know Superman Li and Li Zhikai, in my eyes, you are still not a real rich person. You are just a lowly person. You can't pretend to be rich. You are still not worthy of me. Don't be wishful thinking. She pointed at her head and said disdainfully, Jiang Tian, I heard that you had a problem with your head when you were in Donghai. Do you want to have it checked? Her words were too harsh. However, Wu Zhiruo was really angry with Jiang Tian. At this time, she wanted to shed all pretense of cordiality and ask Jiang Tian to get lost and stop disgusting her. Chapter 706. But Jiang Tian was very calm. He said lightly, Wu Zhiruo, what are you dreaming about? I, Jiang Tian, can get any woman I want with just a flick of my finger. She still can't forget you and is still brooding over it? If you don't like this occasion and don't like my way of doing things, then just leave. Also, what do you mean I'm not from a rich family? I'm going to pretend to be from a rich family. Which rich family in the world can compare with me, Jiang Tian? You're bragging. Wu Zhiruo's face turned red because of Jiang Tian's provocation. She stood up with trembling body and was about to leave. Suddenly, the door was pushed open from the outside. A tall, slender, graceful, and radiant young woman walked in. Young Master Jiang, it's really not easy to meet you. Li Huiyan took off her sunglasses and said with a smile. Li Huiyan is really here. Wu Zhiruo was shocked and couldn't believe it. Even if Jiang Tian and Li Zhikai were friends, he was just a feng shui master. He was still far from being a real rich family. How could he know Li Huiyan? How could he let her come here obediently? At this time, Li Huiyan was wearing a blue dress. She was radiant and charming. Her figure and temperament were far better than Wu Zhiruo and Sun Jiajia. Compared to the charming Li Huiyan, Wu Zhiruo and Sun Jiaro suddenly felt like ugly ducklings under the feet of a white swan. They felt ashamed and ashamed. Oh my God, I'm not dreaming, right? Sun Jiaro's beautiful eyes were wide open and her face was full of shock. She was a loyal fan of Li Huiyan. She bought all of Li Huiyan's albums and watched all of Li Huiyan's movies. But the distance between them was too far. In her eyes, Li Huiyan was like a goddess. She didn't expect Li Huiyan to appear in front of her. I asked you to sing a song for these old grandpas. Thank you. Jiang Tian said lightly. Jiang Tian, what are you talking about? Li Huiyan sat down in the empty seat next to Jiang Tian and hugged Jiang Tian's arm. It's my honor to sing for you and the veterans. I couldn't ask for more. It's my honor. I couldn't ask for more. Seeing this scene, Wu Zhiruo was dumbfounded. In recent years, Li Huiyan had been rising at the speed of a rocket. She was very popular and very cold. It was said that even Li Zhikai and Xiao Yunhao from Hong Kong could not get close to her even if they wanted to. But at this moment, she was actually so passionate towards Jiang Tian. At this moment, Wu Zhiruo's face suddenly turned red. She felt that her face was burning and swollen from the slap. He had just despised Jiang Tian for bragging, but now, in just a few minutes, he was slapped in the face. Moreover, it was so clear and loud. Grandpa, did you just say that you're a member of the Battle Dragon team? Jiang Tianwen's old soldier leading the team asked. Yes. The veteran leading the team smiled proudly and said, I'm a veteran of the Battle Dragon team who joined the army in 1948. I broke an arm on the battlefield of resisting U.S. aggression and aiding Korea, so I retired. No wonder I can still feel the powerful aura of this veteran at such an old age. Jiang Tian was in awe. He stood up, closed his legs and saluted. Salute the veteran. Mr. Jiang, thank you. Under the leadership of this veteran, all the veterans stood up and returned the salute to Jiang Tian with a solemn expression. The veteran leading the team tried his best to straighten his back that was bent and deformed due to his injury. His eyes were slightly red and his face was solemn. The country's policy of caring for veterans let us know that the party and the country have never forgotten us. The righteous act of the Jiang family and the help from all sides of society let us feel that the 1.3 billion people of Huaxia have not forgotten us. In this life, I have never regretted protecting Huaxia and fighting bravely against the enemy. If there is another war, we will still go to the battlefield, carry a brick and have fun on the 38th parallel. For some reason, Li Huiyan was a little moved. She smiled and said, Veterans, sit down. I'll sing a song for you. Singing Motherland. This song is good. It's from Shangganling. Gua Lanying sang it before. At that time, Qiao Yu and Lu Qi were the current Zhou Jechuan and Shuang Jeluan. They were so popular, you're old and confused. That's Zhou Jechuan and Shuang Jechuan. My grandson likes it. Singing is like talking. The veterans applauded one after another and were full of praises. After all, Li Huiyan was a professional singer who graduated from a famous music academy. Although she mainly sang pop songs, she could also sing folk songs. A big river with wide waves. The wind blows on both sides of the river. My family lives on the shore. I'm used to the songs of the boatmen and the white sails on the ships. This is the beautiful motherland, the place where I grew up. In this vast place, there are bright and beautiful spring scenes everywhere. Li Huiyan's clear and penetrating voice echoed in the small private room. As they listened, the veterans seemed to recall the days when they fought on the battlefield and died on the battlefield. They seemed to have returned to the days when the flames of war were endless. They thought of their burning youth. They thought of their dead comrades. Their eyes gradually turned red and tears flowed out. This is the hero's motherland, the place where I grew up. In this vast land, there are bright and beautiful spring scenes everywhere. The veterans sang with Li Huiyan. Their voices became louder and louder. They were sorrowful and high-spirited, shouting themselves hoarse. The song ended. The veterans applauded and said with tears in their eyes, Thank you, little Li. You sang very well. We salute you. No, it should be us saluting the veterans. Heroes. Li Huiyan raised her wine glass and drank the red wine in it. Then she bowed deeply and said, It's my honor to be able to sing for you. Without you, there would be no strong motherland. There would be no happy life for us in the future. Thank you. Let's drink. The veterans all drank their wine. Then, the leading veteran raised his glass with tears in his eyes and said, "Let's salute the 203 brothers who died in the Battle of Highland 681. The veterans all burst into tears and raised their glasses. To our brothers, we miss you." They were almost shouting, "Chang Zi Xiaobing. You all left early and did not see how prosperous our country is now. Hong Kong and Macau have returned to China. The next step is to go to Taiwan. Don't worry. Our brothers from our tour group are going to accompany you all soon. We will have a good chat with you all when we arrive. We have seen the whole country during this trip. It's great. If you all can see it, you will be very happy." At this time, a veteran's phone rang. The private room was very noisy. He took his phone and went out to answer the call. Yuan Kersen quickly went out to accompany him. Unexpectedly, something went wrong on this trip. "Don't worry. The tour group is doing very well. Little Yuan and the rest are taking good care of us. We are eating well and having a good time. If you don't believe me, there is even a celebrity, Li Huiyan, singing for us." The veteran stood at the corner of the corridor to answer the call, and Yuan Kersen was supporting him. At this time, suddenly, a blonde waiter rushed over from the opposite side. He was holding a tray with a bottle of red wine on it. "Slow down. Don't knock into the old man," Yuan Kersen reminded. But the blonde waiter still knocked into the old man. The old man's body was weak, and he fell to the ground. The blonde waiter did not fall. He shook a few times exaggeratedly and threw the tray away. The bottle of red wine fell to the ground and shattered. Yuan Kersen quickly helped the veteran up and asked with concern, "Grandpa, are you all right?" Although the blonde waiter knocked into him, the veteran still asked with concern, "Comrade, are you all right?" He did not have a job, and he was not injured. But these young people from Hong Kong were busy with their jobs. It was not easy for them to make a living. He had heard that the houses here cost tens of thousands of RMB per square meter. If he was injured, it would affect his work. The veteran meant well, but the blonde waiter pointed at the veteran anxiously and shouted, "Damn you! You are a bad old man. How dare you knock into me on purpose?" The veteran quickly bowed and apologized. "I didn't do it on purpose. But I'm sorry I knocked into you. I apologize. I'm sorry." Although the veteran was not very educated, he was very cultured. He had survived the war, and he knew that it was not easy for him to live a good life. So even though he was the one who was knocked into, he still apologized to the blonde waiter. However, he did not know that this accidental collision was originally targeted at him. It was premeditated. "Old man from the mainland, why did you come to Hong Kong instead of waiting for your death in the mainland?" The blonde waiter seemed to have a prejudice against people from the mainland. He stomped on the phone that the veteran had dropped on the ground and didn't have time to pick it up, crushing it into pieces. "My phone." The veteran tried to pick it up, but there was only a pile of parts left. Yuan Kersen was a little annoyed when she saw this. She frowned and said, "What's wrong with you? Just deal with it properly. Why are you scolding people? You fucking old man, why did you call me when you were walking? Do you want to die?" The blonde waiter roared angrily and was very arrogant. He had done this many times before, and he knew the essence of it. Those people from the mainland were stupid and easy to bully. The more arrogant you were, the more scared they would be. Once they were scared, they would obediently pay up. "You were the one who knocked into me. Can't you be more reasonable?" Yuan Kersen hurriedly supported him and gave him a tit for tat. "Where is your manager? Call your manager here. I don't want to talk to you. A mainland loser like you wants to talk to our manager? You think too highly of yourself." The blonde waiter pointed at the veteran's nose again and roared, "Old man, pay up, or I'll beat you to death." The veteran was so scared that his whole body trembled. He even couldn't control himself and peed. His urine flowed down his pants and onto the floor. He was old and his body was weak. He had high blood pressure, hemiplegia, and many other common diseases. When he was agitated, his whole body would tremble and he would pee uncontrollably. This old man, he peed his pants. "Old man, you are about to die. Don't come out. We don't welcome people from the mainland." "What a joke. If you pee on our carpet, you will have to pay up." This is an imported branded carpet. A few more waiters and diners gathered around, pointing at the veteran and laughing mockingly. Chapter 707. Old man, you are so poor. Why do you come to such a high-end place to eat? Isn't the roadside stalls on Temple Street very good? A woman with heavy makeup, called Lu Yiding, who had just settled down in Hong Kong from the mainland, mocked him proudly. Grandpa, I'll take you to the bathroom. Yuan Kersen knew that he was going to have a relapse, so she didn't dare to fight with those people lest she scared the old man. Xiao Yuan, I've caused you trouble and embarrassed you. The old man's face was full of guilt and shame. His whole body was trembling, and there were tears in his eyes. Yuan Kersen were about to leave, but several waiters stopped them and said arrogantly, "Why do you want to run? You haven't paid yet. Didn't you see that our bottle of red wine fell on the ground and broke? Do you still want to deny it? Poor mainlander, pay up. Don't try to deny it, or we will call the police." It was obviously him who bumped into the old man. The old man didn't move at all. Yuan Kersen was so angry that she gritted her teeth and her beautiful eyes were full of fire. But on second thought, she couldn't let the old man get angry, or else he would have a stroke. She tried to suppress her anger, took out her wallet and asked, "Okay, I'll accompany you. Tell me, how much is it?" Old mainlanders are really easy to bully. Today I've made another order. The yellow-haired waiter was complacent. He stretched out 5 fingers and waved them in the air. 500 Hong Kong dollars? Here you are. Yuan Kersen took out the money and handed it over. Xiao Yuan, let me do it. I have a bicycle repair shop. I have money. The old man quickly stopped Yuan Kersen. His rough and skinny hand, which was still covered with black grease under his fingernails, took out a worn-out paper wallet from his pocket and took out small notes of 10s and 8s. The old man was very grateful to the Jiang family and Yuan Kersen. It was the Jiang family who paid for them to come out and see the wonderful world. Now he was useless and got into trouble. How could he let them pay for him? Are you 2 idiots? This is Cabernet Sauvignon from Liyue wine cellar in the United States. It's 50,000 Hong Kong dollars a bottle. The yellow-haired waiter pushed the old man's hand away and the notes fell on the ground. Then he shouted angrily, 50,000 Hong Kong dollars? The old man was stunned and his voice trembled. It's just a bottle of wine. How can it be so expensive? I only have 20,000 yuan in my savings. This is a famous wine. The blonde waiter said with disdain, "You poor mainlanders, what do you know? Hurry up and pay up." That's right. Isn't it just 50,000 yuan? You think it's expensive? If you can't afford it, then don't come here. Lu Yiding and a few other Hong Kong people echoed. Yuan Ku thought in her heart that there was probably a trap. However, the wine had already been broken, so what else could she do? Besides, Jiang Chongqing had said before that no matter how much money they had to spend, they had to let the veterans have fun and not give them any trouble. Yuan Kersen quickly comforted the old soldier, "Grandpa, don't worry, the Jiang family will pay for this." At this moment, Jiang Tian came out of the private room and asked with a faint smile, "Little Yuan, what's going on?" Yuan Kersen said concisely, "Brother Tian, we've been watching too." At this time, Jiang Chao, Zhen Shuai, and Cheng Yi also came over. They had just come over with Li Huiyan. However, there were too many people in the private room, so they didn't go in. They waited outside and saw everything clearly from the beginning to the end. Jiang Tian understood immediately. A trace of sharpness flashed in his eyes as he said lightly, "Transfer the money to them." Yuan Kersen immediately took out her Visa card and brought the old man to the bathroom to change his clothes and diapers before sending him into the private room. Since the old man was in the private room, he wouldn't be affected. Jiang Tian could finally vent his anger. These blonde bastards, after being colonized for a few days, they already thought of themselves as foreigners. They could bully anyone, but they had to bully this bunch of veterans who had sacrificed their lives for Huaxia. Heartless. Jiang Tian had never been so angry before. Fine, isn't it just causing trouble? Let's have a good time today. If he didn't tear down this restaurant today and trample all these disgusting separatists into pieces, Then he would have returned for nothing for the past 4 years. You, call your manager over. Jiang Tian pointed at the blonde waiter and said, Okay, don't regret it. The blonde waiter was fearless. He smiled coldly and took out his walkie-talkie to call for someone. A moment later, Zhou Yulang, who was dressed in a suit, quickly walked over and bowed respectfully, saying, Thank you for your help. Mr. Jiang, I didn't know you were coming. Please forgive me for not going out to meet you. They really made a mistake. It's not 50,000 Hong Kong dollars. Speaking of this. Suddenly he stood up and smiled coldly. It's not 50,000 Hong Kong dollars, but 500,000 Hong Kong dollars. He was arrogant and said with his eyes on top of his head, This is 1973 Liyue wine cellar Cabernet Sauvignon. The market value is 600,000 Hong Kong dollars. The waiter didn't recognize the year and reported the wrong price. I'll give you a discount, 500,000. You don't have to thank me. Are you satisfied with this? Zhou Yulang was still smiling, but there was a trace of bloodthirsty taste in the depths of his eyes, as if Jiang Tian was a little white rabbit waiting to be slaughtered. I said, Call my manager over, you'll regret it. The blonde waiter said arrogantly, Now, do you want our boss to come over? Ha! A country bumpkin from the mainland, who do you think you are? Why do you have to make trouble? Call your manager over. Lu Yiting showed a mocking expression, crossed her arms and snorted, It's fine if you paid 50,000 earlier, but now it's 500,000. Do you regret it? Is this a scammer? How is this possible? What era are we living in? Jiang Tian couldn't come back to his senses. Scammers were common, but scammers in restaurants were rare. After all, your restaurant is right there. The monk ran to the temple. It was too easy for the victim to report to the police, the Consumers Association, or the Business Administration Department. How could they be so arrogant? Wasn't Hong Kong a society ruled by law? It didn't make sense. Jiang Tian, this restaurant was originally targeted at mainland tourists. They worked together with the local tour guide to trick mainland tourists into eating expensive food. Li Huiyan leaned in front of Jiang Tian and whispered, They would label the menu as US dollars, but the customers would order as RMB or Hong Kong dollars. When they finished eating, they would find that the bill was several times higher. No one is doing anything about it. Jiang Tian frowned. I heard that they have a mafia background. They once killed a northeastern tourist and closed their business for a few days. Then they reopened. Li Huiyan had some projects in Hong Kong, so she came here more often and knew more about it. But their reputation was tarnished, and their original scheme was exposed. They were worried that something bad might happen, so they changed to scammers. Of course, they target mainland tourists. The mainland tourists are only here for a few days, and they have to leave when their passes expire. It's not convenient to file a complaint or file a lawsuit. The cost is also very high, so most people can only suffer in silence. They killed mainland tourists? Jiang Tian frowned again, and a murderous look flashed across his eyes. He then looked at Zhou Yulang and said lightly, 500,000, do you think I'm stupid? That's right, 500,000, not a cent less. Otherwise, bastard, I'll kill you. Zhou Yulang said with a wicked smile. Fine, I'll give it to you. Seeing Jiang Tian's face sink, Jiang Chao raised his hand and slapped Zhou Yulang's chubby face. Who was Jiang Tian? He was the valiant existence that forced France and the European Union to bow their heads and killed an entire country in one battle. A few Hong Kong cowards dared to challenge the great god Jiang. Were they looking for trouble? Zhou Yulang staggered and fell to the ground. His chubby face was swollen, and half of his yellow teeth fell out. Blood gushed out. With this slap, Zhou Yulang was stupefied. The blonde waiters were stupefied. The few diners were also stupefied. Are these mainlanders crazy? How dare they hit someone? This restaurant was backed by a powerful backer. They didn't know what was good for them. How dare you hit someone here? Let's see if you can walk out of here alive. The blonde waiters helped Zhou Yulang up and pointed at Jiang Tian and the rest. Fine, fine, fine. How dare you hit me? Just you wait. Sister Min and young Master Xiang are here. What are you going to do? But at this time, Zhou Yulang actually recklessly pointed at Jiang Tian's nose and cursed loudly. Noisy! As soon as Jiang Tian finished speaking, Jiang Chao slapped Zhou Yulang again. The corner of Zhou Yulang's mouth cracked, and he fell to the ground, completely silent. Hurry up and inform your boss. Come here in 10 minutes, or I'll burn down your restaurant. Jiang Tian looked at the time on his phone. Sister Min? Could it be her? Jiang Tian, you're in trouble. Do you know who the owner of this restaurant is? It's Xu Min. And Sister Min is Xiang Jiangxing's mistress. Sun Jiao suddenly thought of something and exclaimed with a pale face. In her opinion, Jiang Tian didn't know what was good for him. He was already a dead man and would probably die on the spot. What? Xu Min's restaurant? We're in trouble. Wu Jiruo's heart skipped a beat. Even if Jiang Tian and Li Zhikai knew each other, they were nothing compared to the Xiang family in Hong Kong. Jiang Tian would be played to death. Should we give Luo Ziho a call? Sun Jiao was so scared that her face turned pale. She knew that Luo Ziho knew these people from the mafia. It's no use. Wu Jiruo shook her head in despair. The Xiang family was a mafia. They killed people without batting an eyelid. Not to mention Luo Ziho, even Superman Li would not be able to help them. After all, Superman Li was just a legitimate businessman. Thinking of this, she looked at Jiang Tian and said anxiously, Jiang, leave now. Leave Hong Kong immediately. Why should I leave? Jiang Tian said calmly. You're asking me why I should leave? This restaurant is opened by the superstar, Xu Min. Wu Jiruo was so angry that she rolled her eyes. Are you retarded? You hit Xiang Jiangxing's godson yesterday, and you hit his woman today. From their point of view, you're going to fight them to the death. Will they let you go? Chapter 708. Xu Min? That big-mouthed actress in an X-rated movie? I like her a lot. Let me ask her how much she costs for a night. Zhen Shuai said with a smirk. What the? Do you want to die? You better know where you stand. Chang Yi rolled his eyes at him. I was just thinking of my next girlfriend. It's just a childhood fantasy. Zhen Shuai chuckled. He was worried that Jiang Tian would be mad at him. Jiang Tian might be easygoing, but when it came to matters of national interest, he was not a pushover. You guys are really reckless. Don't you know who Xu Min is? How dare you flirt with her? Fine. I won't bother with you anymore. Hearing their conversation, Wu Jiruo snorted angrily. I will leave you all to fend for yourselves. However, Li Huiyan looked at the people in the restaurant with pity and shook her head. She knew that the Xiang family of Ethan Group and the entire Hong Kong entertainment industry would be finished in a few days. When Jiang Tian was angered, just how terrifying was the destructive force. It would make heaven and earth change color, the world tremble because of it. Moreover, these lowly Hong Kong hooligans had messed with someone they shouldn't have messed with. 10 minutes later, a stylish Porsche stopped in front of the restaurant. The car door opened, and a tall woman walked into the restaurant from the passenger seat. She was wearing a Louis Vuitton limited edition handbag and a pair of Gucci high heels. Her legs were long and slender, and her body was curvaceous. She had a pair of seductive eyes that were wide apart from each other, making her look even more seductive. Her bright red lips were big and plump, sexy and hot. Xu Min. She was born in a poor village. However, in the 90s, when Hong Kong's film industry was in a cold winter, she rose to fame because of an X-rated movie and became a porn star in Southeast Asia. To put it bluntly, the life of a porn star was similar to that of a prostitute. Due to her poor acting skills, she couldn't escape the fate of aging and fading away into obscurity. However, Xu Min was different. This woman was smooth and slick in socializing with people. She was very good at pleasing people, but she managed to climb up the Xiang clan and walked on the golden path. She played many important roles. She had won an Academy Award and a Golden Horse Award. Her salary was high and her influence was great. She was one of the top movie stars in Huaxia and was on par with Li Huiyan. He even appeared on the cover of Time magazine in 2007. In addition, she was Xiang Jiangxing's mistress. With Huaxing movie as her backing, She was even more influential in the entertainment industry on both sides of the Taiwan Strait. She was known as the Queen of Hong Kong movie. This woman had left behind many famous sayings, such as, "I want to put back the clothes I took off one by one," and so on. Her disgraceful experience of filming X-rated films in her early years had made her the idol of countless women and an inspirational goddess. Hearing that something had happened to one of her restaurants, Xu Min didn't take it to heart. She now had a few $100 million in assets. In 2010, the domestic film and television market's box office had exploded. The few movies she had acted in had all become explosive hits, and the box office sales had all exceeded a few $100 million. She had earned a lot of money. A small restaurant like this was nothing to her. If she hadn't happened to pass by, she wouldn't have bothered to take a look. Someone from the mainland? Since when did people from the mainland dare to behave atrociously in Hong Kong? However, after hearing the report and seeing that Zhou Yulang had been beaten so badly, Xu Min was a little angry and frowned. Zhou Yulang was her cousin. Before she became famous, she lived in a public house in Shek Kip Mei Estate in Sham Shui Pa. She didn't even have enough to eat. At that time, only Zhou Yulang helped her, and the two of them had a deep relationship. In addition, she saw Li Huiyan in the crowd at a glance, and she was a little annoyed. A few months ago, a big Hollywood director was preparing a big superhero movie. In order to please the Huaxia market, part of the movie was shot in Hong Kong and needed a Chinese actress to act in it. Xu Min was quite interested in this role. She visited the investor several times, and even Mr. Xiang spoke up for her. In the end, the Hollywood director chose Li Huiyan, who was far less qualified than her. This made Xu Min hate Li Huiyan to the core. She even hired a water army to smear Li Huiyan's reputation. At this time, seeing that Li Huiyan was present, she couldn't help but think that Li Huiyan might be looking for trouble. Thinking of this, she raised her chin, and the aura of the queen of the entertainment industry erupted. She looked at Li Huiyan proudly and scolded sternly, "Li Huiyan, you've gone too far. Bow down and apologize to me now, and I'll let you go. Otherwise, I guarantee that you'll stink the entire entertainment industry." Li Huiyan smiled sweetly and said, "I think Miss Xu has misunderstood. This matter has nothing to do with me. I'm just attending Mr. Jiang's party. Mr. Jiang has some friction with your hotel." At this time, the blonde waiter came to Xu Min and pointed at Jiang Tian to report a few words. Only then did Xu Min look at Jiang Tian, who was sitting at the table. Xu Min was an entertainment star, and in recent years, she had been doing well in the mainland. She had connections in all directions. She had slept with almost all the famous rich young masters. No, she knew all of them, but she had no impression of Jiang Tian. He was just a nobody, so he probably didn't have a powerful background. A trace of disdain flashed in Xu Min's eyes. She raised her chin proudly and said, "Mr. Jiang, I don't care who you are, but you have hit someone. You have to apologize to the manager of my hotel and pay for it." Jiang Tian didn't even look at her. He was too lazy to talk nonsense. Jiang Chao pointed at Xu Min's nose and said coldly, "Who do you think you are talking to? Who do you think you are talking to?" Xu Min retorted. She raised her voice by a few decibels and suppressed Jiang Chao's aura. She sneered proudly and said, "Do you know what my trump card is? I'm Xiang Qiangxing's woman. One word from me, and you won't walk out of Hong Kong alive." Xiang Qiangxing? That son of a bitch Xiang Qiangxing again. Jiang Chao slammed the table and cursed, "Who the hell does he think he is? Ask him to come here. I'll break his legs and make sure he can't survive in Hong Kong." "Jiang Chao, don't be rude to my idol." Zhen Shui stepped forward and said to Xu Min, "Miss Xu, I'm your loyal fan. When I was young, ever since puberty, I always did that to your movies. Don't worry, I will settle this matter for you. Don't underestimate Mr. Jiang and don't offend him. You can't imagine how powerful he is. Not to mention Xiang Qiangxing, even if Superman Li is here, he will need to kowtow 3 times and kowtow 9 times." Jiang Chao wanted to help Xu Min and take the opportunity to sleep with his childhood idol. But to Xu Min, it was not a good thing. Superman Li from Hong Kong. He was personally received by the country's leader when he was in China, who would kowtow to a young lad. This group of mainlanders really didn't know how to brag without a draft. The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. She laughed and said, "Who do you think you are? How dare you call Mr. Xiang by his name? Arrogant. You guys are really arrogant. Reckless bumpkin from the mainland. You guys don't know who is ruling Hong Kong. Hong Kong's surname is Xiang? The Xiang family?" At this moment, Jiang Tiantian looked at Xu Min for the first time and asked with a smile full of ridicule. "You can think of it that way." Xu Min raised her chin and said proudly, "And society had more members than the Hong Kong police and Hong Kong troops." In Xu Min's eyes, Xiang Qiangxing was even more powerful than chief executive. She was also glad that she got Xiang Qiangxing drunk more than 10 years ago and successfully climbed into his bed. Otherwise, she would not have become a superstar. She lived in a mansion, drove a sports car, and was surrounded by bodyguards and assistants. "Let me tell you, I didn't ask you to come here because your hotel is blackmailing me. It's not because your hotel is disrespectful to me." Jiang Tian frowned and said lightly, "I don't want to talk to you about anything. A trashy actress like you has no right to talk to me. I don't want to bully women. I want to use your big mouth to ask Xiang Qiangxing to come here. I want to discuss some important issues with him." "You are just a bumpkin from China. What right do you have to meet him?" Xu Min was getting impatient and said sarcastically, "Are you going to apologize or not? If you don't, I promise that I will make you die a horrible death. Slap her." As soon as Jiang Tian's voice fell, Jiang Chao took a big stride forward and slapped Xu Min to the ground. "How dare you hit me?" Xu Min's face turned pale and her high heels fell off. She was stunned by Jiang Chao's slap. She could not believe it. Everyone in Hong Kong knew that she was Xiang Qiangxing's woman. Who dared to touch her? The others were also stunned. Their eyeballs almost fell to the ground. This group of mainland people was too rough. They hit people without saying anything. They were too reckless. They even dared to hit Xu Min. "Yes, that's right. I hit you. What's so great about you? Why can't I hit you?" Jiang Chao commented in a murderous tone, "Look, your mouth is like a sausage. If you cut it, you can cook a few dishes." Xu Min was stunned. She felt wronged and wanted to cry. At this time, Zhen Shuai stepped forward and pointed at Jiang Chao. "Jiang Chao, you are too ungentlemanly. How can you hit people?" He helped Xu Min up and said with concern, "Miss Xu, are you okay? As long as you stay with me for one night. Although I can't guarantee that Xiang Qiangxing will be fine, I can guarantee that Mr. Jiang won't do anything to you." Xu Min could not believe it. She pushed Zhen Shuai away and backed away. She thought that she had met a good person, but it turned out to be a pervert. Xu Min calmed herself down and said disdainfully, "Who do you think you are? You are a mainland pauper. A toad wants to eat swan meat. I've never seen someone as shameless as you." Zhen Shuai was unhappy. His face darkened and he said, "Miss Xu, I am serious about pursuing you. How can you look down on me? I have my heart set on the moon, but the moon shines on the ditch." He shook his head regretfully and said, "I have given you a chance. Unfortunately, you don't know how to cherish it. You will die a horrible death." At this time, boom, 7 to 8 commercial cars suddenly stopped at the door. A series of messy but powerful footsteps sounded. Hundreds of fierce men appeared one after another. They instantly crowded the restaurant that had been cleared. They were wearing black t-shirts and black casual pants. On the t-shirts were 3 shocking words in red calligraphy. "In Club." The hundreds of fierce men were all tall and strong. They had a fierce aura. At first glance, it was obvious that they had been through hundreds of battles and their hands were stained with blood. They were Hong Kong's triads. Chapter 709. Seeing that the reinforcements had arrived, Xu Min was instantly rejuvenated. She sneered and said, "Umph, you guys will die miserably." She looked at Li Huiyan fiercely and said arrogantly, "Li Huiyan, just you wait. I'll strip you naked later." Then she looked at Jiang Tian and the others and said with disdain, "Poor mainland people, now you know who you've offended, right? Are you regretting it now? Are you afraid?" Surrounded by the crowd, a young man who could be considered handsome walked over arrogantly with a face full of arrogance. Fang Qiong, the prince of In Club. Those who did not know him would think that he was a half-famous movie star. But those who knew a little about Hong Kong's underground world knew that he was Xiang Qiangxing's only son and the future successor of In Club. Xiang Qiangxing had once asked more than a dozen emperors and queens to play supporting roles for him and spent 300 million to make a movie. Of course, he lost a lot of money. However, he did not care about this small amount of money at all. Most of these movies were used to launder money. It was just a way to make his son famous. At this time, Zhou Yulang also seemed to have been injected with chicken blood. He pointed at Jiang Tian and the others and said to Fang Qiong, "Young Master Xiang, these are the people who beat up Jiezai this morning. Hurry up and kill them. Help me vent my anger." Seeing Fang Qiong coming over, Wu Zhihua and Sun Jiaro were trembling in fear and their faces were pale. Sun Jiaro shrank like a quail and said in a trembling voice, "Young Master Xiang, we're from Hong Kong. We're just eating here. You don't know these mainland people?" Fang Qiong looked at Wu Zhihua and said in a calm tone. Sun Jiaro pulled Wu Zhihua. Wu Zhihua hesitated for a moment and followed. At this moment, she did not have the courage to look at Jiang Tian. Sun Jiaro pretended not to know Jiang Tian. It was understandable. After all, the Xiang family's hands were stained with blood in Hong Kong. No one dared to provoke them and no one wanted to get into trouble. But Wu Zhihua was different. The Wu family of Hong Kong and the Jiang Tian family of Jinling had been friends for 3 generations. She had almost married Jiang Tian, and now they were calling each other brother and sister. In the past 2 days, Jiang Tian had saved her father's life. Just yesterday, Jiang Tian had helped her secure a large order from the Li family. It felt like only 1 minute had passed, but it also felt like 10,000 years had passed. Unfortunately, in the end, she still lowered her head and said in a low voice, "I don't know them. Let's go then." He tilted his head forward, indicating for them to leave. After the 2 girls left, more than 100 people surrounded Jiang Tian and the others so tightly that not even a drop of water could trickle through. If an ordinary person were to encounter such a situation, they would have already been scared to the point that their faces would have changed greatly and they would be trembling. They could either run away or call the police for help. However, not to mention Jiang Tian, even Jiang Chao and Zhen Shuai didn't show any fear. They even felt like laughing. Originally, he thought that the bodyguard team of Su Shiji, the son of the richest man in Huaxia, Su Tianyun, was nothing much. Now, compared to this group of cowards, the bodyguard team formed by Su Shiji's retired soldiers was much stronger. Jiang Chao could take care of them all by himself. "I heard that you're looking for my father. I'll talk to him for him." Qian Xiang smiled faintly, held a cigarette in his mouth in a very Hong Kong manner, and casually sat opposite Jiang Tian. "This guy's looks are not good. No wonder his movie lost so much money." Zhen Shuai shook his head. "Do you know the rules?" Jiang Chao stepped forward and kicked the chair under Qian Xiang's but over. Qian Xiang fell to the ground with a face full of shock. "Young master, are you okay?" Xu Min and a few others hurriedly supported him. Someone pointed at Jiang Tian and the others and shouted angrily. Jiang Chao's expression didn't change as he said, "Qian Xiang, who do you think you are? Are you qualified to sit on the same level as my brother Tian? If you want to talk, stand up and talk." This was not an exaggeration. The founder of the In society was Qian Xiang's grandfather, who was also Xiang Qiangxing's father, Xiang Tian. He was Jiang Chao's man and was a military major general. He belonged to the same generation as Wang Chongyan and Gong Yile. Of course, Xiang Tian had no martial arts cultivation. In the underworld, there was still a gap between his strength and influence as compared to Wang Chongyan and Gong Yile. After all, Wang Chongyan and Gong Yile were commanders of martial arts organizations, while the In society founded by Xiang Tian was mainly made up of low-level laborers. However, Wang Chongyan and Gong Yile were killed by Jiang Tian. How could a person like Qian Xiang be qualified to sit on the same level as Jiang Tian? Jiang Tian was now interacting with people like California's financial group leader Marshall, European Union President Yung, and Palace of Gods Hera. Who was Xiang Qiangxing? It could be said that in terms of seniority and strength, even Xiang Qiangxing was not qualified to talk to Jiang Tian on the same level. Jiang Tian didn't even look at him. He had no personal grudges with Xiang Qiangxing. You piece of shit, you're looking for death. Do you know who I am? Xiang Qiangxing is my father. Qian Xiang was so angry that his face turned pale. In Hong Kong, although the Xiang family was not as powerful as Superman Li, Xiao Shikuan, and the other four major families, they were still a second-tier family with a few billion assets. Especially when they had the super elite and society. Even the four major families didn't want to mess with them. Some tried to rope them in, while others stayed out of their way. In Hong Kong, although Qian Xiang was not as ruthless as his father, as the prince of the and society, no one dared to mess with him. Not long ago, there was a Shaanxi resource tycoon from the mainland who wanted to have a drink with Xu Min in a bar. Qian Xiang slapped him 3 times in public, but no one dared to do anything to him. However, he was humiliated by a few mainland tycoons. How could he hold it in? He was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Noisy! Jiang Tian shook his head in disappointment. Why were all the rich kids so useless? They always brought up their fathers. Chop him up. The more Qian Xiang thought about it, the angrier he got. He waved his hand fiercely. Behind him, hundreds of burly men didn't say anything. They rushed forward and drew their long swords to attack Jiang Tian and the others. Some people might think that killing people on the street was too much of a joke. Was Qian Xiang so stupid? Indeed, the in society was no longer the same as before. It had completed the original capital accumulation and most of its businesses were washed ashore. Xiang Qiangxing only controlled the and society remotely. He had an agent and became a movie tycoon, rich, upper class, respectable person. Respectable people would kill people, but their hands would not be stained with blood. In other words, as long as their hands were not stained with blood, the law couldn't do anything to them. The Xiang family had been fighting against the ICAC and the Hong Kong police for 70 years, but none of them had ever been sent to jail. The only reason why the Xiang family was able to survive was because of the powerful legal system and the 10 top lawyers in Hong Kong. As long as Qian Xiang didn't kill people personally, there wouldn't be any problems. In fact, Qian Xiang didn't usually do that. He wouldn't leave evidence for the police so easily. But today, he was really angry. First, his brother Jie Zai was beaten. Now, his father's woman was also beaten by them. He was so angry that he lost his mind. He must kill Jiang Tian. You're courting death. Cheng Yi, who was originally sitting, suddenly had a cold look in his eyes. He jumped up without warning. His right hand pressed on the back of the chair, supporting his body to rotate in the air. His feet kicked continuously. In the screams, more than 10 men who were close to him were kicked and flew out almost simultaneously. Blood spurted out of their mouths. These men instantly turned into human cannonballs. Every one of them flew out and knocked down several people. The dense crowd suddenly became chaotic. Cheng Yi's feet landed on the ground. He took the opportunity to throw out the chair that had just supported his body. The sturdy chair shot into the already scattered crowd like a cannonball. 3 of the thugs were directly hit and flew more than 10 meters away. They crashed through the glass wall and fell to the ground. They vomited blood and fainted. The wooden chair exploded into pieces in the air. Wood chips flew everywhere. The strength was amazing. Jiang Chao was not to be left behind. With a clang, the round marble table next to him that weighed at least 100 kilograms spun and flew up weightlessly as if it was made of foam. Whoosh whoosh. The marble table slammed down again. It directly knocked down a few of the horrified and pale thugs to the ground. Bang bang bang. Jiang Chao kicked out one after another. Marble tables flew out one after another. People were constantly knocked down to the ground. Awesome! Jiang Chao was excited. He grabbed a marble table and swung it like a large fly swatter. It was easy and casual. The marble table knocked away more than 10 machetes. It directly sent 3 members of the society flying more than 10 meters away. They crashed through the glass window of the hotel, crossed the street, and slammed into the tobacco shop opposite. The glass wall shattered. The people in the shop exclaimed, "Who is so good at fighting?" Some people could not help but vent the shock and fear in their hearts. In just a few minutes, all the people of E and society fell to the ground. Only in society's crown prince was left. He stood alone in the mess. He was stunned. Shu Min was even more shocked. She could not believe it. 2 people had defeated hundreds of good people from the society. Was he still human? It was unbelievable. As for Zhou Yulang, he did not even have the chance to be shocked. He was already knocked out by Jiang Chao again. Slap. Jiang Chao went forward and slapped him hard. Fang Chang's nose was bleeding and he was dizzy. From the beginning to the end, Jiang Tian sat there and did not move. It was as if Fang Chang and this group of Hong Kong hooligans were not worthy of his attack. At this time, the battle was over. He turned his head lazily and looked at Fang Chang. He said calmly, "Keep your head on your neck first. Tell your father to come and see me as soon as possible." Fang Chang forced himself to calm down. Then he sneered and said, "Okay, I will tell my father. However, today's matter is not over. You seem to have some background. Something to rely on? However, it's useless in front of the Xiang family. Don't even think about leaving Hong Kong alive." Blood dripped down from his nostrils. It made him feel even more ferocious and terrifying. "Are you threatening Mr. Jiang?" At this time, a roar filled with monstrous majesty came from outside the door. A middle-aged man who looked elegant, handsome, smart, and capable got out of an Audi parked at the door and walked over quickly. Behind the Audi, there were also police vehicles coming and stopping. The words, "PTU," were painted in white on the bodies of the vehicles. Dozens of mobile force police officers wearing blue beret hats got out of the vehicles. They loaded their guns and occupied key positions such as the restaurant and the intersection. The elegant middle-aged man from before was imposing without being angry. Surrounded by several mobile force officers, he exuded a powerful aura and walked into the Lanfang Garden restaurant with majestic steps. Chapter 710. However, they were shocked to find that the famous Xiang Qian and a group of gangsters were beaten to the ground like dogs. Fang Chang heard the shout and turned around instinctively, only to see a person that made him tremble with fear. Fang Gui, the head of the Hong Kong police force. He was the newly appointed head of the Hong Kong police force and had always been the enemy of the Xiang family. During the family gathering, Xiang Changxing had said that the Xiang family was about to be wiped clean and that the prosecution period for many cases had passed. As long as nothing happened during Fang Gui's term, the Xiang family would be fine. However, Fang Gui was also the most likely person to defeat the Xiang family in the past few decades. A mortal enemy. I am the victim. I didn't do anything from the beginning to the end. Fang Chang raised his hands calmly, but in fact, his face was pale and his heart was pounding. This kind of small-scale fight was not a big deal. Why was the head of the police force here? To mess with him? For thee in society? Head Fang, you are so cool. I have attended your banquet before. Lu Yiding had met Head Fang before. However, Head Fang didn't remember her. He only nodded slightly, which made Lu Yiding very happy. Head Fang, I didn't expect you to be here for such a small matter. It's just a financial dispute. Shu Min hurriedly greeted him, squeezing out a flattering smile, her face full of joy. Fang Gui was the head of the Hong Kong police force. Other than the chief executive, he was the most powerful person in Hong Kong. Moreover, there was a rumor within the E and society that Fang Gui had always wanted to uproot the E and society and kill Xiang Changxing. This caused Shu Min to feel uneasy. If the immortals were to fight and implicate the mortals, then she would be in trouble. Fang Gui didn't seem to care about Shu Min and Lu Yiding. Instead, he quickly walked up to Jiang Tian, bowed deeply, and spoke in the most respectful tone he had ever used in his life. Mr. Jiang, we were too late. Please don't be angry. I will deal with this matter seriously. His voice was trembling. He was scared to death. He also hated the Xiang family. He didn't know anything about this mysterious Master Kong. However, he knew that Jiang Tian had defeated the entire police force in Singapore, slaughtering the Chinese society and the richest family in Singapore. What if Jiang Tian went on a killing spree in Hong Kong and exterminated the Xiang family? Not only would it be difficult for the Hong Kong police to explain to the public and the media, it would also cause a riot among the tens of thousands of people in society. The Xiang clan was really blind. Previously, he had asked people to remind them to be more peaceful, but they still did something like this. Jiang Tian was too lazy to speak, nor did he express anything. Fang Guori continued to bow deeply. Seeing this scene, Fang Chang was shocked, and the muscles at the corner of his eyes twitched. Who could make Fang Gui lower his head? A red-walled prince from the mainland? The illegitimate son of some big shot in the central government? Or, Xu Min was also scared out of her wits. A thought appeared in her mind. It was over. Something big had happened today. But it wasn't over yet. I heard that someone wants to bully Mr. Jiang. What a joke. At this time, a tall woman with blonde hair and blue eyes walked in. The woman's clothes were revealing a large part of her snow-white chest. However, she didn't look like a prostitute at all. Instead, she gave off an oppressive aura like a queen. As soon as she arrived, she immediately suppressed Xu Min's aura. In front of her, Xu Min was like a dog's tail flower next to a rich peony, not worth mentioning. Even Li Huiyin's aura was deeply suppressed. Paris Hilton. Seeing this, Xu Min's heart skipped a beat. She couldn't believe it. Paris was an international socialite and a fashionista, but her level was much higher than Xu Min's. For example, in every Paris fashion show, Paris would be the first and second to walk the red carpet, while Xu Min could only rub the red carpet on the periphery. Previously, Su Shiji had jokingly called her the carpet star. Luxury brands like Gucci, Hermes, Armani, Prada, and other luxury brands wouldn't normally hire female celebrities as their spokespeople. That was because in the eyes of the real rich and aristocrats, female celebrities were just playthings. Their endorsement would damage the brand's value. For example, when Louis Vuitton hired movie stars to endorse their products, they were rejected and abandoned by their users. Royal family members and real socialites were their ideal spokespeople. If they couldn't get them, they would settle for the next best thing. For example, in order to get a few spokespeople for luxury cosmetics, Xu Min had to fight with other celebrities and hire internet water army to slander her. But Paris could easily get these spokespeople. It could even be said that if these brands begged her to endorse them, she might not even accept. It depended on her mood. The wealth of the Hilton family, not to mention Xu Min, even the Xiang family couldn't compare. It was like a chicken meeting a phoenix. A shocking scene appeared. Paris and a bookish girl bowed respectfully to Jiang Tian, then stood behind Jiang Tian like a maid. Thump. Xu Min's heart sank. She knew that things were not going well. To be able to make both the chief of police and Paris so respectful, this person's identity was simply too big. Mr. Jiang, I think that everything that happened today was a misunderstanding. I apologize to you. I hope you. Xu Min was born at the bottom and had been in the entertainment industry for many years. After realizing that Jiang Tian wasn't someone to be trifled with, she immediately put on a happy face and softly apologized. At this time, Jiang Tian looked up at Fang Guori and said, "Director Fang, I suspect that this company is involved in counterfeiting." As for Xu Min, he didn't even bother to look at her. Fang Guori dared to straighten up and promised with a smile, "Mr. Jiang, I will deal with it seriously." Xu Min hurriedly explained, "Director Fang, I have always been operating legally, please believe me," Jiang Tian said lightly. "In the underground wine cellar, there are more than 1,000 bottles of 73 Cabernet Sauvignon from Liyue wine cellar. This kind of Cabernet Sauvignon costs more than 500,000 Hong Kong dollars per bottle. The total amount of counterfeiting is more than 500 million Hong Kong dollars. Is this a major case of counterfeiting?" Several police officers rushed to the basement and used a hammer to force open the door of the wine cellar. Seeing this, Shu Min was so scared that her legs went soft, her head was buzzing, and cold sweat came out like a small stream. These Cabernet Sauvignon from Liyue wine cellar were indeed fake wine. Some were used to blackmail mainlanders, and some were sold to the mainland tycoons who wanted to make friends with her. She was a popular female star on both sides of the Taiwan Strait. Those tycoons would never think that she would sell fake wine. So, over the years, whether it was blackmailing ordinary tourists or selling, Shu Min had been doing it very smoothly. But she didn't expect that this time she would hit the gun muzzle. These wines are all real. They are valuable, you can't damage them. Shu Min decided to be tough and fight to the death. Whether she stretched her neck or retracted her neck, she would still have a chance to live. She pointed at Jiang Tian and threatened, "In addition, you'd better quit while you're ahead, or I'll sue you for slander." "Really? You said that these wines are all real?" At this time, the refined girl next to Iris picked up a bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon and said coldly, "The packaging is very lifelike, almost authentic." But Liyue wine cellar produced a total of 200 bottles of 73 Cabernet Sauvignon, and there are less than 50 bottles in the world. Even if you bought all of them, how do you explain the extra 900 bottles? Who are you?" Shu Min asked in a panic. How could this girl be so knowledgeable? She didn't come with good intentions. "Rachel from the Marshall family." Rachel said lightly, "Liyue wine cellar is my family's. So, I'm here to target you." "The Marshall family of the California conglomerate?" Shu Min was shocked again. She couldn't believe it. Her head was about to explode, and she almost went crazy. Rachel, the most beloved granddaughter of the California conglomerate's leader, Marshall, and the only heir of the California conglomerate. Rachel was not in the fashion industry, but occasionally, she would appear on camera and the media would give a full-page report. The California conglomerate was one of the top 10 conglomerates in the world, and it was on par with Rockefeller, Morgan, and other large conglomerates. Compared to such a conglomerate, not to mention the Siang family of and society, even the four major families of Hong Kong were like country bumpkins. Moreover, the Marshall family was so powerful that they could directly talk to the head of Huaxia. Even the chief executive of Hong Kong was not qualified. The Marshall family wanted to kill her, a female star who started her career from an 18-rated movie. Even Xiang Qiangsheng couldn't stop them. Take all the related people away, and seal the wine cellar as evidence. Fangguori also knew that the evidence was conclusive this time. Basically, Shu Min would be skinned alive. Click. Shiny handcuffs were cuffed on Shu Min's wrist, followed by Xiang Qian, the blonde waiter, Zhou Yulang and others. "Mr. Jiang, please let us go. We won't dare to do it again. It's all our fault for being blind, please." At this time, in the face of prison, the blonde waiter and Zhou Yulang no longer had the arrogance and domineering look. They were scared out of their wits. They knelt down in front of Jiang Tian and kept kowtowing and begging for mercy. Their heads were bleeding, hoping to be forgiven. But why would Jiang Tian care about such small characters? He gently waved his hand. The police officers immediately pulled them up, put on black hoods, and took them into the police car and sped away. Lu Yiding, who was hiding in the corner, was so scared that she almost went crazy. Her eyes were blank and her face was shocked. Oh my God! When did the mainlanders become so powerful? They could make the granddaughter of a California consortium a maid, make the chief of police respect them, and suppress the crown prince of and society until he didn't even dare to fart. Sun Jiaro was so scared that she pulled Wu Zhihua and ran out of the street. "Sun Jiaro, I can't ignore Jiang Tian. If anything happens to him, how can I explain it to my dad?" Wu Zhihua broke free from her and said anxiously. Sun Jiaro said with disdain, "That's the famous Eden society. They don't even blink when they kill people. Can you afford to offend them?" She curled her lips and said, "If you ask me, he deserves it. He asked for it. I've already reminded him a few times, but he's still provoked and society. I'll call the police." Wu Zhihua took out her phone and said, "Call the police?" At this time, Luo Ziho appeared out of nowhere and sneered. "Do you think the Xiang family won't find out if you call the police?" They've planted a lot of spies in the police force. When the time comes, be careful that the Wu family will be destroyed as well. Luo Ziho, did you arrange all of this on purpose? Wu Zhihua suddenly understood and said angrily. Although she didn't like Jiang Tian, she didn't want to see Jiang Tian being killed. So what if I arranged it? I just can't stand his arrogance. Luo Ziho said fiercely. Suddenly, the sirens flashed, and police cars arrived one after another. Luo Ziho laughed gloatingly. Looks like that Hua Xia kid got bullied. He can't take it anymore and can only call the police. Let's go and take a look. He couldn't wait to see Jiang Tian's sorry state. Chapter 7:11. Luo Ziho pulled the two girls to the front of the hotel, but they saw a shocking scene. Ambulances, police cars, PTU's explosion-proof vehicles. Dozens of cars filled the entire street. And society members who were covered in blood were lifted up on stretchers and stuffed into the ambulances. In addition, in society's crown prince, Xiangqian, and Xu Min were also put on headgear and handcuffs and were escorted into the police car. Jiang Tian and the others were chatting and laughing with Fang Gui and walked out of the hotel as if nothing had happened. Fuck, did I see it wrong? He actually knows Fang Gui? Sun Jiaro was in disbelief. Wu Zhihua frowned. It really seemed to be Fang Gui. Could it be that he knew Fang Gui through Superman Li's family? How could this be? Seeing Xiangqian and Xu Min's ending, Luo Ziho broke out in cold sweat, and his heart was uneasy. Could it be that Jiang Tian's background is so powerful that he can talk to Fang Gui? Obviously, Xu Min, Xiangqian, and the fierce people of Yi and society were all taken care of by the police. Zhou Yulang was also arrested. He wouldn't say that I was the one who instigated the ripoff. If that's the case, I'll be in trouble. The police may pursue the matter, and Jiang Tian won't let me go. Luo Ziho, don't you want to see this? Jiang Tian looked at Luo Ziho and said with a faint smile, do you want to see me beaten to death? No, how could I? Of course, I don't want anything to happen to you. Luo Ziho waved his hands, and his legs were cramping. Didn't you leave? Why are you back so soon? Why are you so concerned about me? I'm very touched. Jiang Tian said with a smile. I wanted to pick up Zhihua and Sun Jiaro. Are you okay? Luo Ziho was embarrassed. He was at a loss for words and stammered. Could he say that he had been nearby, waiting to see Jiang Tian make a fool of himself? Jiang Tian could naturally see that it was Luo Ziho who was messing around, but he was too lazy to teach him a lesson. Because Jiang Tian found something very interesting. This brat's glabella was black, and there was a bad omen above his head. It was obvious that he would be finished soon. Jiang Tian just now? I'm sorry, I was really scared. There are too many of them. After Fang Gui and the police left, Wu Zhihua couldn't hold back the guilt in her heart. She took a deep breath and quickly walked forward. It's fine. It's human nature. Jiang Tian didn't have the slightest good impression of Wu Zhihua at this time, but for Wu Buxiong's sake, he was too lazy to scold her. Oh right, in a few days, remember to bring me to the Lantern Festival charity banquet. Wu Zhihua hesitated for a moment and said, right now, Jiang Tian only had this bit of value to her. Sun Jiaro also heard about this matter. She came over and hugged Jiang Tian's arm. She revealed a cute smile and said, Brother Jiang Tian, take me with you. You didn't have to put in much effort anyway. Her skin was as white as snow, and her features were picturesque. She had willowy eyebrows, cherry lips, and two snow-white slender legs under her hot pants. There was a trace of laziness between her eyebrows. Her temperament was pure and charming. Every frown and smile was peerless and could arouse people's desire. At this time, her full and bouncy chest was rubbing against Jiang Tian's back. Any man couldn't stand it, and it made Luo Ziho jealous. Take you? Take your mother. But Jiang Tian suddenly sneered, and his eyes were cold. Sun Jiaro was stunned. Slap. Jiang Tian gave her a big slap in the face, not holding back at all as he slapped her on the tender and delicate face. Sun Jiao's delicate body was slapped askew, and a few clear red finger marks appeared on her crystal-clear face. Jiang Tian, why did you hit me? She was stunned and covered her swollen pink face. She felt wronged, and tears were glittering in her eyes. Jiang Tian, how can you hit people? Yeah. Sun Jiao has always treated you as a friend. How can you hit a girl? You're too ungentlemanly. Wu Zhihua and Luo Ziho were stunned, and then they shouted angrily. Friend? What kind of friend is she? Jiang Tian said disdainfully, full of mockery. You've been whispering behind my back, insulting me and the veterans. Do you think I didn't hear you? Jiang Tian narrowed his eyes and pointed at Sun Jiao's nose and scolded. But the veterans were there just now. I was afraid that I would ruin their mood, so I didn't hit you. Do you really think I, Jiang Tian, am a fool? Jiang Tian was angry. How domineering was Jiang Tian? The surrounding temperatures suddenly dropped, and a monstrous pressure fell from the sky. Sun Jiao trembled in fear and stepped back. Her pretty face was as white as paper. Jiang Tian was not done yet. He said coldly, you can insult me. I, Jiang Tian, am not a great person. But what right do you have to insult those veterans who shed blood for the motherland? This slap is for those veterans. If you dare to do this again, I'll skin you alive. After saying that, he walked away. Jiangtan, you dare to hit me, you dare to hit me. I won't let you off. Sun Jiao was stunned for a long time. Suddenly, she waved her hands and shouted at Jiang Tian's back with tears in her eyes. That's too much. The mainlanders are too boorish. They're so arrogant. How dare they? Luo Ziho complained softly. Forget it, Jiao. For my sake, don't blame him. He's a mad dog. Can you lower yourself to his level? Besides, he knows Fangui. What can you do? Wu Zhihua hugged Sun Jiao and patted her shoulder. She gently persuaded her, coaxing and scaring her. How could Fangui know him? He's just lucky today. Luo Ziho looked at Wu Zhihua with jealousy and hatred. He looked at Wu Zhihua and said, it must be because he and society made such a big commotion that it alarmed Fangui. Fangui is an official after all. Out of work, he comforted the victim. In short, he's a loser. Sun Jiao's eyes were filled with tears. Her face was full of resentment. She gritted her teeth and said, no matter what, I won't let him off. I'll make him regret this slap. Does he really think I'm easy to bully? I'll agree to that person's pursuit this time. I'll ask him to help me kill Jiang Tian. Whose pursuit did you agree to? Wu Zhihua asked curiously. Sun Jiao didn't say anything. She just sneered. Her eyes were scary, as if she had changed into another person. It can't be him, right? Jiao let Jiang Tian off. Wu Zhihua's heart skipped a beat. Her face turned pale. That person was not someone Jiang Tian could afford to offend. He was definitely 10 times scarier than before. That night, at Peninsula Hotel, a few men and women appeared in front of Jiang Tian's room. The leader of the group was an old man in a suit. He was slightly bald and wore a pair of black-rimmed glasses. He was the richest man in Hong Kong, super manly. The other person was wearing a dark suit with a white shirt. His hair was neat and tidy. He was dressed like a civil servant. He was the Hong Kong Police Commissioner, Fang Gui. There was also a young couple, Li Zhikai and Fang Minxia. They followed closely behind. Li Zhikai knocked on the door. Su Zixuan opened the door from the inside. They tidied their clothes and walked in slowly. Greetings, deity Jiang. Once Supermanly entered the room, he kneeled down and kowtowed to Fang Minxia. Fang Minxia was shocked by his actions. Mr. Li, you don't have to be so polite. I'm looking for you today because I need your help. Jiang Tian walked up and helped him up. He then glanced at everyone and said, everyone, please take a seat. Grandmaster Jiang, if there's anything I can do to help, please feel free to instruct me. This disciple will not refuse. Superman Li only dared to sit on the sofa. As for Li Zhikai, the most powerful young master in Hong Kong, he was just serving tea in this kind of situation. Superman Li was very humble. He knew when to stop and when to stop. This was also the reason why Jiang Tian asked him to come over and not Macau's gambling king, He Hongqian, or any other tycoons in Hong Kong. Jiang Tian went straight to the point and said calmly, "That's right. I want to get rid of the mafia in Hong Kong. Man Club, No Numbers Gang, and He Lian Sheng." As soon as these words were spoken, the entire place fell into a dead silence. Superman Li's mouth moved a few times, but he did not say anything. "Jiang Tian, you're still talking nonsense," Fang Minxia subconsciously wanted to retort. Fang Guori stared at her and forced her to swallow her words. He then smiled bitterly and said, "Master Kong, I have been wanting to get rid of these mafia for a long time. But do you know, there are too many people and the law can't punish everyone, right?" Jiang Tian sipped the fragrant Mount Lu cloud mist tea and said faintly, "Ian Club has 80,000 members and He Lianxing has 30,000 members. The leader of No Numbers Gang, Wei Duangong, is a British citizen. You don't have the right to enforce the law. And there are only 29,200 police officers in Hong Kong and less than 5,000 civilian staff. Once you execute a beheading or arrest operation, it will cause chaos in Hong Kong, right?" "Since Mr. Jiang knows, why are you still?" Fang Gui was puzzled and shook his head. "Director Fang, do you know that Hua Xia has a very flexible police system?" Jiang Tian smiled mysteriously. "What is it?" Fang Gui asked. "It's called auxiliary police." Jiang Tian said seriously. "I have heard of it." Fang Gui did not know whether to laugh or cry. Auxiliary police in the mainland were also called joint defense team members, glorious scapegoats. Cough cough, this kind of Hua Xia system was not standard. But suddenly he realized something. His eyes lit up and he slapped his thigh. "Mr. Jiang, don't tell me you want to—" "Yes, the big circle is mine." Jiang Tian smiled and said, "The big circle has 80,000 people in America. In addition, there is also the Fuqin gang. I can give you 100,000 auxiliary police. Is that enough?" At this time, Li Zhikai subconsciously trembled and did not even notice that the tea had splashed on his hand. Fang Gui's face also revealed an inexplicable smile. Li Zhikai was once kidnapped by Zhang Ziqiang, the thief of the century, and Zhang Ziqiang was a member of the Big Circle. In addition, there was also the king of thieves, Yi Jihuan. In 1984 and 1991, he robbed many gold shops in Simsha Sui and many gold watch shops in Central with an AK-47. His actions were swift and his shooting was accurate. Moreover, he was caught on camera and shocked the entire Hong Kong. With this as a backboard, many movies were made in Hong Kong. In addition, there was also Ji Bingxiong, codenamed Businessman, who met Yi Jihuan in prison in 1984. After he was released from prison, he bought a lot of firearms and fought with the Hong Kong police for many years. The Big Circle, who once killed many people in Hong Kong and made the Hong Kong police embarrassed, was now cooperating with the Hong Kong police to crack down on illegal gangs. This sounded like a fantasy story. Was it possible? You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.